Views to be drawn on whether the league's remaining events of 2026 will take place, as he outlined the scramble for post-Saudi investment. O'Neill is seeking $300 million from outside backers to keep the breakaway circuit afloat. That's after Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund announced plans to withdraw funding at the end of the year, having invested more than £4 billion since 2022. Speaking on this though, O'Neill said, "I've had 5 formal meetings so far, I've got 18 more this week and about the same next week. What's been really interesting is how you slice this. Is it one partner, maybe a big private equity firm, coming in for the full $300 million, or do you have 10 or 12 investors at 50 or 25 million? And finally, finishing in cricket, and Liam Livingstone fired an unbeaten 85 from just 31 deliveries as he guided Lancashire Lightning to a 7-wicket rain-affected win over Durham. Livingstone had earlier had bowling figures of 1 for 19 as he removed Alex Lees to end a 76-run opening stand, as Durham posted 128 for 2 from their 10 overs after winning the toss. Livingstone he then hit 14 boundaries, including 8 maximums in his extraordinary knock, as Lancashire chased down their victory target with 5 balls to spare. The Lightning do remain bottom of the North Group despite their second win of the season, although they have moved level on points with Durham. Elsewhere in the Blast and Northamptonshire Steelbacks, they continued their perfect start to the competition with a 6-wicket win at home to Worcestershire Rapids. In a match reduced to 18 overs aside by the wet weather, Gareth Roderick top scored for the visitors with 47 off 32 balls in a total of 154 for 5. Steelbacks captain David Willey hit 3 sixes and 4 fours and a knock of 47 before an unbeaten 26 from Justin Broad helped the leaders to his 6th successive win with 12 balls remaining. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We're beginning at football, and Marco Silva has agreed to become Benfica's new head coach. That's as the Portuguese club formalised Jose Mourinho's departure for Real Madrid. Silva, he ended his 5-year stint as Fulham boss a week ago when his contract at Craven Cottage expired. Benfica said they had reached an agreement with Silva, who is set to sign a contract until the end of the 2027-28 season, which can be extended to the 2028-29 campaign. Sticking in football, and Bukayo Saka is an injury worry for England just days ahead of the World Cup. The Three Lions boss Thomas Tuchel confirmed that Arsenal winger has been struggling with an Achilles issue and cannot take part in every training session. Tuchel also confirmed it was unlikely Saka would start against Costa Rica on Wednesday in England's final warm-up game before the tournament begins. Also in football, and Ben Davies has signed a new 12-month deal at Tottenham Hotspur to extend his stay at the club into a 13th season. The Wales captain only made 5 appearances during an injury-ravaged last season, but he was praised by Spurs boss Roberto De Zerbi for his leadership during a tense and ultimately successful relegation battle in the Premier League. Moving on to golf now, and at Live Golf, Chief Executive Scott O'Neill refused to be drawn on whether the league's remaining events of 2026 will take place, as he outlined the scramble for post-Saudi investment. O'Neill is seeking $300 million from outside backers to keep the breakaway circuit afloat. That's after Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund announced plans to withdraw funding at the end of the year, having invested more than £4 billion since 2022. Speaking on this though, O'Neill said, "I've had 5 formal meetings so far, I've got 18 more this week and about the same next week. What's been really interesting is how you slice this. Is it one partner, maybe a big private equity firm, coming in for the full $300 million, or do you have 10 or 12 investors at 50 or 25 million? And finally, finishing in cricket, and Liam Livingstone fired an unbeaten 85 from just 31 deliveries as he guided Lancashire Lightning to a 7-wicket rain-affected win over Durham. Livingstone had earlier had bowling figures of 1 for 19 as he removed Alex Lees to end a 76-run opening stand, as Durham posted 128 for 2 from their 10 overs after winning the toss. Livingstone he then hit 14 boundaries, including 8 maximums in his extraordinary knock, as Lancashire chased down their victory target with 5 balls to spare. The Lightning do remain bottom of the North Group despite their second win of the season, although they have moved level on points with Durham. Elsewhere in the Blast and Northamptonshire Steelbacks, they continued their perfect start to the competition with a 6-wicket win at home to Worcestershire Rapids. In a match reduced to 18 overs aside by the wet weather, Gareth Roderick top scored for the visitors with 47 off 32 balls in a total of 154 for for 5. Steelbacks captain David Willey hit 3 sixes and 4 fours and a knock of 47 before an unbeaten 26 from Justin Broad helped the leaders to his 6th successive win with 12 balls remaining. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We're beginning at football, and Marco Silva has agreed to become Benfica's new head coach. That's as the Portuguese club formalised Jose Mourinho's departure for Real Madrid. Silva, well, he ended his 5-year stint as Fulham boss a week ago when his contract at Craven Cottage expired. Benfica said they had reached an agreement with Silva, who is set to sign a contract until the end of the 2027-28 season, which can be extended to the 2028-29 campaign. Sticking in football, and Bukayo Saka is an injury worry for England just days ahead of the World Cup. The Three Lions boss Thomas Tuchel confirmed that Arsenal winger has been struggling with an Achilles issue and cannot take part in every training session. Tuchel also confirmed it was unlikely Saka would start against Costa Rica on Wednesday in England's final warm-up game before the tournament begins. Also in football, and Ben Davies has signed a new 12-month deal at Tottenham Hotspur to extend his stay at the club into a 13th season. The Wales captain only made 5 appearances during an injury-ravaged last season, but he was praised by Spurs boss Roberto De Zerbi for his leadership during a tense and ultimately successful relegation battle in the Premier League. Moving on to golf now, and at Live Golf, Chief Executive Scott O'Neill refused to be drawn on whether the league's remaining events of 2026 will take place, as he outlined the scramble for post-Saudi investment. O'Neill is seeking $300 million from outside backers to keep the breakaway circuit afloat. That's after Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund announced plans to withdraw funding at the end of the year, having invested more than £4 billion since 2022. Speaking on this though, O'Neill said, "I've had 5 formal meetings so far, I've got 18 more this week and about the same next week. What's been really interesting is how you slice this. Is it one partner, maybe a big private equity firm, coming in for the full 300 million, or do you have 10 or 12 investors at 50 or 25 million? And finally, finishing in cricket, and Liam Livingstone fired an unbeaten 85 from just 31 deliveries as he guided Lancashire Lightning to a 7-wicket rain-affected win over Durham. Livingstone had earlier had bowling figures of 1 for 19 as he removed Alex Lees to end a 76-run opening stand, as Durham posted 128 for 2 from their 10 overs after winning the toss. Livingstone, well, he then hit 14 boundaries, including 8 maximums in his extraordinary knock, as Lancashire chased down their victory target with 5 balls to spare. The Lightning do remain bottom of the North Group despite their second win of the season, although they have moved level on points with Durham. Elsewhere in the Blast and Northamptonshire Steelbacks, well, they continued their perfect start to the competition with a 6-wicket win at home to Worcestershire Rapids. In a match reduced to 18 overs aside by the wet weather, Gareth Roderick top scored for the visitors with 47 off 32 balls in a total of 154 for 5. Steelbacks captain David Willey hit 3 sixes and 4 fours and a knock of 47 before an unbeaten 26 from Justin Broad helped the leaders to his 6th successive win with 12 balls remaining. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We're beginning at football, and Marco Silva has agreed to become Benfica's new head coach. That's as the Portuguese club formalised Jose Mourinho's departure for Real Madrid. Silva, well, he ended his 5-year stint as Fulham boss a week ago when his contract at Craven Cottage expired. Benfica said they had reached an agreement with Silva, who is set to sign a contract until the end of the 2027-28 season, which can be extended to the 2028-29 campaign. Sticking in football, and Bukayo Saka is an injury worry for England just days ahead of the World Cup. The Three Lions boss Thomas Tuchel confirmed that Arsenal winger has been struggling with an Achilles issue and cannot take part in every training session. Tuchel also confirmed it was unlikely Saka would start against Costa Rica on Wednesday in England's final warm-up game before the tournament begins. Also in football, and Ben Davies has signed a new 12-month deal at Tottenham Hotspur to extend his stay at the club into a 13th season. The Wales captain only made 5 appearances during an injury-ravaged last season, but he was praised by Spurs boss Roberto De Zerbi for his leadership during a tense and ultimately successful relegation battle in the Premier League. Moving on to golf now, and at Live Golf, Chief Executive Scott O'Neill refused to be drawn on whether the league's remaining events of 2026 will take place, as he outlined the scramble for post-Saudi investment. O'Neill is seeking $300 million from outside backers to keep the breakaway circuit afloat. That's after Saudi Arabia's public investment fund announced plans to withdraw funding at the end of the year, having invested more than £4 billion since 2022. Speaking on this though, O'Neill said, "I've had 5 formal meetings so far, I've got 18 more this week and about the same next week. What's been really interesting is how you slice this. Is it one partner, maybe a big private equity firm, coming in for the full 300 million, or do you have 10 or 12 investors at 50 or 25 million? And finally, finishing in cricket, and Liam Livingstone fired an unbeaten 85 from just 31 deliveries as he guided Lancashire Lightning to a 7-wicket rain-affected win over Durham. Livingstone had earlier had bowling figures of 1 for 19 as he removed Alex Lees to end a 76-run opening stand, as Durham posted 128 for 2 from their 10 overs after winning the toss. Livingstone he then hit 14 boundaries, including 8 maximums in his extraordinary knock, as Lancashire chased down their victory target with 5 balls to spare. The Lightning do remain bottom of the North Group despite their second win of the season, although they have moved level on points with Durham. Elsewhere in the Blast and Northamptonshire Steelbacks, they continued their perfect start to the competition with a 6-wicket win at home to Worcestershire Rapids. In a match reduced to 18 overs aside by the wet weather, Gareth Roderick top scored for the visitors with 47 off 32 balls and a total of 154 for 5. Steelbacks captain David Willey hit 3 sixes and 4 fours and a knock of 47 before an unbeaten 26 from Justin Broad helped the leaders to a 6th successive win with 12 balls remaining. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We're beginning at football, and Marco Silva has agreed to become Benfica's new head coach. That's as the Portuguese club formalised Jose Mourinho's departure for Real Madrid. Silva, he ended his 5-year stint as Fulham boss a week ago when his contract at Craven Cottage expired. Benfica said they had reached an agreement with Silva, who is set to sign a contract until the end of the 2027-28 season, which can be extended to the 2028-29 campaign. Sticking in football, and Bukayo Saka is an injury worry for England just days ahead of the World Cup. The Three Lions boss Thomas Tuchel confirmed that Arsenal winger has been struggling with an Achilles issue and cannot take part in every training session. Tuchel also confirmed it was unlikely Saka would start against Costa Rica on Wednesday in England's final warm-up game before the tournament begins. Also in football, and Ben Davies has signed a new 12-month deal at Tottenham Hotspur to extend his stay at the club into a 13th season. The Wales captain only made 5 appearances during an injury-ravaged last season, but he was praised by Spurs boss Roberto De Zerbi for his leadership during a tense and ultimately successful relegation battle in the Premier League. Moving on to golf now, and Live Golf Chief Executive Scott O'Neill refused to be drawn on whether the league's remaining events of 2026 will take place, as he outlined the scramble for post-Saudi investment. O'Neill is seeking $300 million from outside backers to keep the breakaway circuit afloat. That's after Saudi Arabia's public investment fund announced plans to withdraw funding at the end of the year, having invested more than £4 billion since 2022. Speaking on this though, O'Neill said, "I've had 5 formal meetings so far, I've got 18 more this week and about the same next week. What's been really interesting is how you slice this. Is it one partner, maybe a big private equity firm, coming in for the full 300 million, or do you have 10 or 12 investors at 50 or 25 million? And finally, finishing in cricket, and Liam Livingstone fired an unbeaten 85 from just 31 deliveries as he guided Lancashire Lightning to a 7-wicket rain-affected win over Durham. Livingstone had earlier had bowling figures of 1 for 19 as he removed Alex Lees to end a 76-run opening stand, as Durham posted 128 for 2 from their 10 overs after winning the toss. Livingstone he then hit 14 boundaries, including 8 maximums in his extraordinary knock, as Lancashire chased down their victory target with 5 balls to spare. The Lightning do remain bottom of the North Group despite their second win of the season, although they have moved level on points with Durham. Elsewhere in the Blast and Northamptonshire Steelbacks, they continued their perfect start to the competition with a 6-wicket win at home to Worcestershire Rapids. In a match reduced to 18 overs aside by the wet weather, Gareth Roderick top scored for the visitors with 47 off 32 balls and a total of 154 for 5. Steelbacks captain David Willey hit 3 sixes and 4 fours and a knock of 47 before an unbeaten 26 from Justin Broad helped the leaders to a 6th successive win with 12 balls remaining. That's all for now, we'll have more later. Here are your latest sporting headlines. I'm James Mason. We're beginning at football, and Marco Silva has agreed to become Benfica's new head coach. That's as the Portuguese club formalised Jose Mourinho's departure for Real Madrid. Silva, well, he ended his 5-year stint as Fulham boss a week ago when his contract at Craven Cottage expired. Benfica said they had reached an agreement with Silva, who is set to sign a contract until the end of the 2027-28 season, which can be extended to the 2028-29 campaign. Sticking in football, and Bukayo Saka is an injury worry for England just days ahead of the World Cup. The Three Lions boss Thomas Tuchel confirmed that Arsenal winger has been struggling with an Achilles issue and cannot take part in every training session. Tuchel also confirmed it was unlikely Saka would start against Costa Rica on Wednesday in England's final warm-up game before the tournament begins. Also in football, and Ben Davies has signed a new 12-month deal at Tottenham Hotspur to extend his stay at the club into a 13th season. The Wales captain only made 5 appearances during an injury-ravaged last season, but he was praised by Spurs boss Roberto De Zerbi for his leadership during a tense and ultimately successful relegation battle in the Premier League. Moving on to golf now, and Live Golf Chief Executive Scott O'Neill refused to be drawn on whether the league's remaining events of 2026 will take place, as he outlined the scramble for post-Saudi investment. O'Neill is seeking $300 million from outside backers to keep the breakaway circuit afloat. That's after Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund announced plans to withdraw funding at the end of the year, having invested more than £4 billion since 2022. Speaking on this though, O'Neill said, "I've had 5 formal meetings so far, I've got 18 more this week and about the same next week. What's been really interesting is how you slice this. Is it one partner, maybe a big private equity firm, coming in for the full $300 million, or do you have 10 or 12 investors at 50 or 25 million? And finally, finishing in cricket, and Liam Livingstone fired an unbeaten 85 from just 31 deliveries as he guided Lancashire Lightning to a 7-wicket rain-affected win over Durham. Livingstone had earlier had bowling figures of 1 for 19 as he removed Alex Lees to end a 76-run opening stand, as Durham posted 128 for 2 from their 10 overs after winning the toss. Livingstone, well, he then hit 14 boundaries, including 8 maximums in his extraordinary knock, as Lancashire chased down their victory
as they face Paraguay in Los Angeles. Mauricio Pochettino's men have lost 3 of their last 4 matches building up to their home tournament, but history is on their side against today's opponents, having won each of their last 3 against La Albiroja. Starman Christian Pulisic starts on the wing alongside fellow stalwarts. We'll leave that there because we are underway for this Group D clash at the FIFA World Cup 2026. The hosts, the United States of America, they are finally underway. They've seen their fellow host Mexico win on opening night against South Africa. Canada, whilst they weren't able to take all 3 points in their opener, they've got their first ever point at the World Cup. Can the Americans follow suit against Paraguay this evening, this morning / tonight in this late game 2 a.m. kickoff in England? It's myself, Will Maxwell, and Lewis Raftery taking you through this one. And as our off-tube studio pictures just focuses in on the USA manager Mauricio Pochettino, I will run you through the lineups once again if you did miss them in the earlier preamble. So for the USA, it is Fries in goal, a back 4 of Freeman, Richards, Ream and Robinson. Adams and McKennie are the holding midfielders, with Tillman, Dest and Pulisic supporting, following Balogun up top. An opportunity here for Paraguay early doors as Bobadilla gets a ball into the area for Gomez, and his cross is flapped away by Fries. The attack still on though for the visiting Paraguayers. Caceres' cross, that's dealt with by Chris Richards and goes out of play for a throw in. So for La Albiroja, it is Gil in goal, Alonso, Alderete, Gomez and Caceres in the back 4, Almiron, Bobadilla, Cubas and Diego Gomez in the midfield, and Ciso and Sanabria leading the line. As I mentioned, it's Lewis Lewis Raftery joining me in the commentary booth. Bright start so far from Paraguay.
Really good start there, and I mean, as you say, they are the visiting side, aren't they, realistically? Lovely long throwing coming in here, but the USA deal with it for now. But it's a rocky start, but the pressure's on the USA, isn't it? Realistically, Paraguay, we've already seen the kick-off. It was great to see all the fans there, and there's a great support for Paraguay. There's a great support for everyone, you have to say, at the Los Angeles Stadium this evening. But it is one of them, isn't it, that because all the pressure's on the USA, I think any little bit of momentum Paraguay get, they're the underdogs. They're going to try and take advantage of it. Should be a good game, and I know it's as cliche as come, but the first goal, it'll be massive. If USA score, they'll take momentum on. If not, you could really see the fans becoming impatient, possibly.
Yes, I mean, it's not a complete sellout today at the Los Angeles Stadium. It's an opportunity maybe here for Balogun. He breaks in and gets a strike away. It is straight down the throat of the goalkeeper in Gill. It wasn't a bad effort. It was a difficult one for Balogun to take down. He was being tightly marked by Omar Alderete, but his effort didn't have the power. In the end, is comfortably gathered by the Paraguayan goalkeeper.
Yeah, you just can't get a clean strike on it. As you say, it was a nice header from McKennie through to him, but just never fell for him. They're coming forward once again with Balogun on the right, looking on offside. No, Dest has it. Can he find a ball into the box? Now the flag does go up, so apologies. Dest just continued to run on and on. So, but again, as you say, I think if he can catch that sweetly, we know Balogun's a great goal scorer, and I think that's the thing that stand out and see so for Paraguay. There's players, isn't there, and that's what the World Cup's about, and there's obviously players that are going to maybe that we know but you don't know much about. For example, Kang In Lee a day ago, early yesterday morning, I thought he was brilliant in that game, whereas because he doesn't start for PSG doesn't mean he's a bad player. There'll be players who do that, but Balogun is a key player, and any key chances you can see those USA fans in the stands rise to their feet.
Yes, there'll be plenty of support for the hosts in this contest. Maybe a little bit of surprise that it is following Balogun that has been trusted to lead the line this evening in Los Angeles. And you've got the likes of Ricardo Pepi on the bench, who, as an out-and-out striker, has scored the most goals for his national team, 13 in 37 appearances. No player has scored more for their country, for the USA, than Christian Pulisic, but he is more of a winger than an out-and-out striker. But looking at their options, particularly from the bench, they've still got likes of Pepe, Haji Wright, Leeds, Brendan Aronson and Timothy Weah, all to come off of the bench. So they've got a good amount of depth going forward, particularly depth that has quality, that play in pretty high level.
Yeah, 100%, and I think that's when we look at the formation, for example, today, it's looking at Tillman maybe supporting Balogun just in behind, isn't it? You could go for a classic two up top, couldn't you? And I think maybe Haji Wright and then Balogun, they could actually suit with each other pretty well, playing off of each other, so that's interesting. And again, USA coming into this tournament, it feels different a little bit more. As you say, there is a lot of depth, there is more control about them as well, in the sense that they've just got players that I feel confident in, whereas in past tournaments you did feel like, well, Christian Pulisic doesn't score, maybe the USA don't win, or a Clint Dempsey or Landon Donovan. It was just one player armies up top, whereas as you said, there's a lot of depth, and I know it's 3 group games at knockout stage, but it also means, right, Balogun's not performing, we have players that come off the bench and can more than get us a goal and get us a return, if you will.
As the ball has gone out of play for a throw-in for Paraguay on this near left-hand side. Will be a chance for Alonso to try and launch this further forward for La Albiraja. Headed away well by Freeman. Flicked on by Sanabria. He's then caught by Weston McKennie. It's a bit of a scrap between the two sets of players. Eventually the ball breaks away for Julio Enciso. Now over towards the right-hand side in Cáceres, who gets away from Anthony Robinson. He'll drop of the shoulder. Plays it down the line for the former Brighton man in Julio Enciso. He whips the ball in dangerously, looking for Sanabria. Well dealt with by Chris Richards to turn that ball away from danger. We know how strong they are defensively, Paraguay. They had the second best defensive record in South American qualifying alongside Argentina, 5 shy of the best record of Ecuador, who only conceded 5 over the course of the entire qualifying campaign. But 14 goals in 18 matches in qualifying. That's their main weakness, isn't it, for Paraguay? Is that they don't have that striker that they maybe used to have back in about 10 years ago, likes of Oscar Cardozo leading the line. Now they don't really have that focal point.
No, they don't, and I think that's you're right. That's the main weakness. Is I think they'll keep clean sheets, but can they score the goals? It's exactly what you said. You're spot on there, and I think maybe USA defensively they could be weak, but here they come with McKennie.
Yes, maybe an opportunity here for the Americans. McKennie moving over towards the left-hand side in Christian Pulisic. Does really well to get through a gap, breaks into the area, falls to Weston McKennie. Oh, it's an own goal! It's an absolute howler there for, I believe it is the midfielder Bobadilla, who has accidentally poked into his own net. But the Americans will not care one bit because they have got their opening goal, and the fans in the Los Angeles Stadium are up in raptures.
I mean, they won't care. It's tournament football, isn't it? By hook or crook, they've got the goal just after 7 minutes as well. It was great play coming forward from McKennie. And then, as you said, Pulisic, what a piece of play. 2 players on him. That's his pace, that's his power. Just a nice touch away. Just puts the ball back into a dangerous area. That's all it does. It's nothing too incredible. It's simple, but it's really effective. I mean, McKennie's nearly there to poke it home as well. Pulisic there stretches for it. McKennie puts it back in, and Bobadilla, he's got to get some touch on it. He gets it wrong, as you say, and it's a terrible mistake. But if he doesn't get something on it, it falls for Balogun or Destin at the back six as well. So you've got to make a decision, and unfortunately, it's a wrong one. But USA will not care.
No, they don't care how the goals go in as long as they do. They know that with the way the tournament is this time around, a win in the group stages basically confirms yourself into the next round of the competition. 3 points will be absolutely vital, and at the moment they are in the driving seat, and they just now need to keep the momentum. They can't afford to rest on their laurels.
No, 100%. And I think, as you spoke about the depth up front for the USA, they have something to have. Let's just call them the three midfielders: McKennie, Adams, and Tillman. That's some players they can keep a hold of the ball as well. So I think what USA want to do, they're the host nation. They can defend well, they can attack well. When you've got those fans that are behind you, what you want to do now is, I think they'd love to go score 2 or 3. Really put it to Paraguay, of course they would. But they know how well they are defensively. It's more for them that they don't want to just sit back and sit on the counter. They want to get on the ball, but have some great ball players as well. And coming forward again with Robinson.
Yes, Anthony Robinson, of course, based in the Premier League with Fulham. He's been there for quite some time now. In fact, since 2020, as it looks like we have our first yellow card of the contest. It's Cáceres that has caught Pulisic running down the left-hand side. It was a bit of a lazy leg there by Juan Jose Cáceres. And I feel like so far in this tournament, the referees haven't been afraid to show their cards. Of course, no more so than the opening game of the tournament. We saw 3 reds.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's setting stalls out. It's as usually the first game, so it's referees just going, you're not going to get away with this, you're not going to get away with that. That one, I wouldn't disagree. It's a yellow card. I think it's very early. I mean, Christian Pulisic will now be licking his lips, won't he, every time he gets to go up against his fullback. And now this is a dangerous set-piece opportunity. You've got Richards and Ream coming up from the back. It's all about the delivery.
It is, and it looks like it's going to be either Anthony Robinson or Malik Tillman. Robinson has decided to cut this across towards Serginho Dest, who I think wants it to come a little bit quicker so we can go for goal. Instead, he's going to have to hold on to it. And rebound to find Freeman, though, down the right-hand side. He digs out a dangerous cross, flicked up and away by Cáceres. Falls to Tillman. Turns away from Almiron. It will fall kindly to Pulisic, who still holds on to possession. He tries to dig out a cross, well dealt with by Diego Gomez, and then gets a toe to it in front of Robinson. It has come off of the Brighton man last. Throw in taken quickly. That goal has really sparked USA into life. Paraguay, you'd probably say, started the brighter of the two sides, but ever since taking the lead, the Americans really have their foot on the throat of La Albiroja. Here is Serginho Dest. Rolling towards the right-hand side for McKennie. He digs out across. That's overhit, though. Flicked away again, this time by Cáceres. Well defended by Diego Gomez, but Anthony Robinson tracks back to intercept, and they just win possession instantaneously once again.
It's as you say, it's sometimes goals change games. It's a niche that comes, but look at the confidence. Here they come again.
They are coming forward again. Balogun whips the ball into the box. That's dealt with by Omar Alderete. Gomez loses out to Robinson. They can't get out of their own defensive third at the moment, can Paraguay. Here's Robinson. Left by Pulisic. Will look to try and find McKennie once again. That's dealt with by Cáceres. Launching it away from danger. Almiron isn't going to be able to keep that ball in play. Out it goes for a throw-in. Wonderful pressure and continuous attacking play by the Americans to keep Paraguay pegged inside their own half.
It's fantastic, and Pochettino at 11.5 minutes in, I don't think he could have wished for more to former Spurs boss. And I was just quick as well, we were speaking about this pre-game. I mean, I've got it written down as a 4-2-3-1. It looks more of a 3-4-3, doesn't it, with Dest off the right and Robinson off the left as wing-backs, back three of left to right, Ream, Richards and Freeman given a bit more ability to go forward, McKennie and Adams in the middle, with Tillman a bit more advanced on the right, Pulisic given the freedom of the left-hand side, Balogun leading the line. So it looks very fluid though, because Freeman is allowed to drive forward.
Damien Bobadilla has just been adjudged to have impeded Malik Tillman. Not the greatest start to this game for the Sao Paulo midfielder. Has caught Tillman. It did go through his legs as well. He's struggling to deal with the pace and the pressure of the Americans, who look really up for this in front of their own fans. Anthony Robinson, back it goes for Chris Richards. Bring this ball further up the field, laying it towards the left-hand side for Tim Ream. Pulisic skips away from Gomez, has McKennie to his right, instead goes back towards Tillman. I think that flicked off the referee. He's not going to hold it up initially and then decides to blow his whistle. I think more out of the complaints from the American players rather than him realising it hit him there.
I think so. I think you're right there. Unless he was trying to see if maybe the advantage fell to the USA, or were you going to continue anyway once maybe Paraguay were getting on the ball and coming forward. Maybe that's when he realised. But as you say, it wasn't until you saw a few of the USA players asking, he didn't really come to any answer. But you're right about Paraguay. Even when they're getting the ball, they can't get out their own first third. I'm not saying you've got to play it out from the back, but they need to get higher and they need to press a bit higher. But at the same time, maybe Gustavo Alfaro's also thinking, right, we've just got to weather this storm. As you said, USA in front of their own fans, they've got that goal, confidence is high. Could we make it to the half an hour mark and still 1-0 down and then maybe go for a bit more?
We have a throw-in for Paraguay on the far right-hand side. It looks like it is Cáceres who's going to go over to take this. It looks like Gustavo Gomez for Paraguay, the captain, has been shown a yellow card for either a foul or his remonstrations. That's two of the Paraguayan back four now currently on yellow cards, as Julio Enciso picks up possession. Little drop of the shoulder, gets a strike away. He's appealing for a deflection that has not arrived. That will be a goal kick for the USA. Better though from Paraguay, and I think if anything is going to come off for them going forward, it will definitely go through the tricky legs of Julio Enciso.
100%. And we know he loves the shot as well, so if it opens up for him, he scores some absolute screamers for Brighton, and so we know he's got that in his locker, but we know that he's also not afraid to take the shots. If it falls for him, he will go for it. But that's what you were speaking about, the just missing goals. He's such a creative player that if you paired him with a lethal finisher, I'm sure he'd set him up for fun realistically, but he's more got the pressure of, I've got to create for others and I've got to go and score as well. It's a real burden to carry, and that's why, again, as you said, yes, they're so good defensively. It was just a mistake at the back, and also credit to the Americans. Paraguay are getting a bit on the ball now, a little bit more, and again, we spoke about the pressure. The USA right now, they're rising to the occasion. If it's 1-0 maybe with 10-15 minutes to go, will the pressure become a bit too much?
You mentioned Enciso does love an attempt at goal. I think he only scores screamers. He scored, I think, a couple of long-range efforts against Chelsea, one for Brighton and one on loan at Ipswich Town. But you can't say he's prolific. In his 57 games in all competitions for Brighton between 2022 and 2025, he only scored 5 goals. So he's definitely more of a creator rather than a goal scorer. One man they'll probably rely on for goals for Paraguay will be Miguel Almiron, who of course was at Newcastle for 6 years, from 2019 to 2025, 223 appearances in all competitions, scored 30 goals. You'd probably say over half of them were just in one campaign, maybe the course of a few months when he had a unbelievable purple patch. But he's very much a confidence player, Miguel Almiron. If he's not in a good run of form, he really struggled to get himself involved. But an opportunity here for Balogun. Lays on to the right-hand side. Junior Dest, it's a heavy touch. When he cut it back, he does. Is deflected away by Gomez. That will be a corner kick, but a waste of a glorious chance there for the Americans.
I love that for Balogun, because yes, he's a striker. You want to score. It's a World Cup. It's lovely play. They get a little bit lucky as it comes off of Tillman there, but Balogun does the right thing. He plays the pass to his overlapping fullback, and it's just, as you say, I just think he's so focused on getting his strike strike off, but he doesn't get the touch right first. If he takes the first good touch, he can drive it, drill it into the bottom corner. They've still got a corner though, so here come the hosts.
And they are still the side dominant at the moment. 16 minutes gone in this contest. It goes towards the far post. The header by Freeman doesn't find a man in red initially, but it will be picked up by Tyler Adams. Robinson, dangerous ball in. Chris Richards rising highest. Can't quite get his effort on target. It looks like there might have been a clash of heads as well between the two number 3s of Richards and Omar Alderete. So there will be a stoppage here whilst the two receive some treatment and make sure that they're both okay. But Alderete's done so well to stop Richards getting a clean head on that, because he's probably, maybe alongside Tim Ream, their greatest aerial threat.
100%, and I thought it was a lovely ball from Robinson as well. He's asking to someone, you've got to leap for it, you've got to get your vertical right, but it is a lovely ball into the box, and as you say, it's one of them as well where Alderete, I'm not saying you're expecting to get headed in a collision of heads, but Richards is looking, isn't he? Whereas Alderete is just looking at the ball. Then I can imagine it's a bit more painful because Alderete just doesn't see it coming. For example, of course, we will get the 2 hydration breaks, one halfway through the first half, one through the second half. But this is kind of another hydration break to a degree. We can see the players going over. Pochettino will be happy what he sees, but look, he's a coach who's been there and won. He knows what it takes to win. So I think if anything, he'll be saying, yeah, look, we're doing well, but let's go get that second goal. Let's really put on a show. This, as you say, early evening in LA, just after 6 o'clock their time, but very, very early doors for us.
Yes, of course, and well, obviously we don't know the full ins and outs of the temperature and the humidity. I don't think every game is going to require a hydration break, despite the fact they will get one nevertheless. But I think with this sort of weather and with the sun and how it hits in California and Los Angeles, this is definitely a game and a time where these hydration breaks will be necessary as we await this free kick to be taken. Alderete taken off the field of play to ensure that he is okay alongside Chris Richards, because both players did go down. Of course, that is a rule that's been implemented for this World Cup. So for the time being, we are 10 on 10 as Pulisic has the clearance clattered into him by Cáceres. That will be a throw-in for Paraguay on the far right-hand side. Alderete, I think, trying to bark at the fourth official, trying to be let back on, as is Chris Richards. They don't want to be missing out too much of the football, especially with Paraguay currently chasing the game and on the attack. It looks like Cáceres is going to be shaping up for a long throw into the area here. Is going to be turned away rather comfortably by Freeman. Balogun makes himself a nuisance. Back to Cáceres, lovely skill. The number 4 tries to whip the ball in, but there's no one really to aim for. It's comfortably cleared by Tim Ream. Then Malik Tillman will trudge his way further forward. Balogun keeps the ball in play. They have won the free kick eventually. Again, the foul going against, this time, Gustavo Gomez. And, well, with how his face looks at the moment, you just feel like every time he's turning towards the referee, he's in danger of picking up a second yellow. He just seems angry all the time.
I don't know if that's why he's got the skipper's armband, so he can have that little bit more of a, well, I've got the armband on, that's why I can have a few words with you. But like I said, he's already on the yellow card. I can only assume that it's because of words he's had with the referee as well. He didn't go in for a tackle or anything like that, so he does have to be a little bit careful. But you are right about the stadiums as well. For example, the Los Angeles Stadium, it's maybe 5-6 years old. It's maybe stadiums, for example, the Boston Stadium, that's a bit of an older one, so that's where the weather might be a little bit more difficult, more humid, as you say. Whereas this one, a new stadium, it looks absolutely fantastic, and as you say, they will be given anyway. But I think it's after that little break as well. Maybe Paraguay, they've weathered a bit of the storm, haven't they? But they do need to get on the ball. And as you said about the long throw, and it's almost any chance we get, put USA under pressure in their box.
Yes, as Tim Ream lays the ball over the top. Tillman, lovely back heel to Weston McKennie. He tries to drive into the area, bobbles up, hits him on the knee before eventually going out of play for a goal kick. There's plenty of talk prior to the World Cup starting of the quality of the pitches in some of the grounds, particularly in the United States. From what I can see so far, I wouldn't class it as bad, this pitch, but the ball definitely does seem to be bobbling every now and then, and it does seem to be getting caught up in the grass as well.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on with that. And again, it might be, unfortunately, stadium to stadium, depends on how it's being laid. Is it the same turf that they would use in the NFL, for example? A lot of them, for example, the Dallas Stadium, it had to be certain height, so they did have to go over that. But you are right, it's not a pitch that these players... for example, the Mexico, I think they could get a great advantage of playing all the games in Mexico. I know it's the host nation, that's why. But they'll be used to playing on that pitch, and if anything, a lot of these USA players, because they play abroad, might not actually help them, because they're used to playing on the pitches in Europe and so far and so forth. So it might not be as much of an advantage as maybe most host nations would get.
Yeah, and there's only a handful of players that actually ply their trade in the MLS for the United States, and only 2 of them are starting this evening as Pulisic will look to drive forward. He looks to get away from Cubas. Back it goes to Anthony Robinson, finding Alec Tillman. He goes back to Tim Ream, one of the players who plies his trade in the MLS now, formerly of Bolton and Fulham, of course, but currently the 38-year-old finds himself at Charlotte FC. The other, of course, being the goalkeeper Matt Freese of New York City. And towards the left-hand side is Pulisic. Does well to get away from his marker. Back towards Tyler Adams. Space here for Alex Freeman, the 21-year-old. Threads the needle to find Tillman. Balogun, lovely football, trying to find McKennie. Well shepherded away by Alonso, who at the last moment just changed his mind from making the clearance out of play and shepherds that back to his goalkeeper. But the interchanging of passing, in particular involving McKennie and Balogun in the link-up play so far in the opening 20 minutes, has been sublime.
Oh, it has. One touch. They're linking up really well as a long ball forward. Freeman deal with it. It's almost, again, that midfield too, McKennie and Adams. McKennie's given that licence, isn't it, to go a little bit forward, to supplement Pulisic, Balogun. Desti's really wide on the right side, and Tillman as well. Adams is just going to say, look, I'll just sit. I will cover. I'll do all the dirty work. McKennie's going to up and down as well, don't get me wrong. But Adams is going to do the dirty work. I'll win the ball. Here you go. I'll do the dirty work for you. And so far, they are working really well. You can see the chemistry they've built. Right now, they're looking very good.
They are looking very good at the moment. The Americans, better than I thought they would be, if I'm being perfectly honest. They've looked really sharp so far in these opening exchanges. We are past the halfway point of this first half. It is the United States 1, Paraguay 0. And takes us through to half-time will be Mr. Lewis Raftery.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, I agree with your point there. Very, very impressive. The USA's Pulisic once again. He's looking very good. Well, goes to the commentator. Poor ball in the left-hand side from the Milan winger. And as soon as that does come in, it will be the hydration break. I feel like the first 15 minutes were very fluid. Unfortunately, the head injury happened kind of just after that. We had a little bit of a pause, so we haven't really got going with this another break. But if you are joining us, warm welcome. It's independent off-tube studio commentary of this class. USA 1, Paraguay 0. And unfortunately, own goal from Bobadilla in the 7th minute means USA are 1-0 up, and it was a mistake at the back that can't be taken back, as we've just seen pictures of the fantastic Los Angeles Stadium, a state of the art where the Rams and the Chargers do play. But so far, as you said, more impressive. I agree with you, more impressive than I thought there would be. And it's one of them, as I said, I think because it's that first game, you're in front of that packed crowd, it's either you rise to the occasion or you shrink, and at the moment they're rising to it.
They are. I mean, you just got to think back to the 1994 World Cup that was held only in the United States, when there really wasn't too much of an infrastructure for football, or soccer as it's known, in the United States. But because of their performance in that tournament and how the fans got behind them, that sort of led to the creation of Major League Soccer, and is why there's a bit more of a fan base and an appetite for football in modern day America. And I think because the fans are getting more involved with the tournament and with their side, that is just filtering into this performance of the Americans, who are really playing up to their home crowd. And if they can continue this level of performance over the course of this tournament, who knows, that they might fall into the category of a potential dark horse, not to win it, but definitely deeper than maybe they've ever gone before.
100%. And as you speak about there wasn't the infrastructure in 1994. There is now, but it's all NFL stadiums. There's no, as you said, soccer stadiums played. You might, if you go back into the USA, well, let's just say 20 years time, there might be actual soccer stadiums created. So, as you say, it can almost I felt in the 2002 World Cup, Asia football kind of boomed, didn't it, because of the World Cup. I felt the same in South Africa in 2010, and as you see, you never know, Mexico's a hotbed for football. Canada, that could rise as well a little bit as well. If you're joining, you aren't missing anything. It is just a hydration break. We'll be back in a few minutes. 1-0 to the USA, of course. Packed football slate. We will be covering every single game of the group stages and beyond on this service. Of course, Australia and Turkey to come tomorrow, so that'll be an interesting one just to see how it really plays out. It should be interesting. Of course, you already spoke about Almiron. He is 100%, as you said, a confident player. I could see him get, if he got one today, I could see him getting one in every group stage game, which he says is continuing with the confidence. It will be a goal kick to get us back underway for Paraguay. The hill to take, and they're not messing around. They will be going long with it. Everyone, apart from a handful of players, are in the USA halves. It will be a long ball. Just waiting. Looks like everyone is ready to go. There is just, I believe, the fourth official just putting his hand up in the air to say to the referee, hold on, we're just waiting for a few things, so our cameras will point to famous faces in the crowd, of course. The seats do look very comfortable. I do have to say they've made a good decision there.
Yeah, it looks like it's Bill Gates on the left there of our screen that is watching on. They look incredibly comfy. I mean, it's a stadium, and well, American stadiums at the moment are really just built for the corporate fan base, and well, the seats are very much akin to modern day cinema seats, and I can only imagine they recline, and they've got some quite deep cup holders to say the least. But there's going to be plenty of celebrities in and around the grounds of the courses tournament. We saw in the Canada game Ryan Reynolds was supporting his own as well, so they're not going to be the last famous face.
But here come the USA back from kick-off. Pulisic puts it forward, strike at goal, it's in the back of the net. All eyes will look to the linesman. Balogun runs away in celebration, and for the time being the USA have put themselves 2 goals to the good. Once again, Will's already spoke about that quick 1-2 interchange in passing. I will take the excitement out of my voice because the linesman does finally put his flag up. There was quick play on the left-hand side. It's found his way to Pulisic, who he might be offside from the start. Yes, he is from that first angle. Then the attack continued. Balogun might have been offside as well. Once again, a lovely move, though. It was Pulisic into McKennie. Balogun, I think he just strays off the side anyway, so I believe there's 2 offsides in the build-up anyway, so it will be chalked off. But once again, they are playing some great stuff for the Husks. Yeah,
the link-up play of particularly the front 4 of McKennie, Balogun, Pulisic, Dest, and well, you can probably link Adams and Tillman in there as well. They're combining so well, quick one-touch football. Paraguay's defence at the moment, they were so strong in qualifying, but they cannot deal with the Americans with how they're playing at the moment. And you don't know if it's going to be a case of personnel change or a formation change is going to be the difference maker, or if just the occasion is getting to them and is, well, getting to the Americans in the right way, and that it's just giving them that extra gear to go up.
Oh, you're spot on with that. Approaching half an hour into this clash, USA 1, Paraguay 0. It will be a throw-in on the left-hand side for Paraguay. This referee just reversed that decision. Freeman went down for a moment, so I don't know if there'll be a pause in play. Holding his lower right leg. It will be McKennie who's holding the ball, so I do believe it will go for the USA. Apologies, watching it back, thinking Ciso. Unfortunately, yeah, it's just a bit of a whack on the lower right leg of the full back there. But back underway, USA have the ball halfway into their own half with Richards. Ream on the left-hand side looks to go long quickly, looking for Robinson, cutting inside for a moment. Can't bring it down, well defended by Caceres. Leaves it back, and as Will's mentioned, himself and Gomez already on yellow cards. That's something that Paraguay have to be very careful about. Alderete puts it forward. Back to Gomez it goes. Again, we've already seen a mistake at the back with South Africa. That's how Mexico got their first goal of the tournament. Long ball forward, looking for Celebria. Easily nodded down there by McKennie, and USA get the ball back. He's had a great season in the Serie A with Juventus. Out to Pulisic, who looks full of confidence, and his full-back's on that yellow card, so I'm assuming he'll be thinking, get the ball out to me at all times. Robinson plays a lovely ball down the line, looking for said Pulisic, pulls it back, takes a deflection, Balogun's there, and he made it 2-0 earlier. That was chalked off. This time, this one will count. Devastating piece of play down the left-hand side. Robinson finds Pulisic, pulls it back, and great ball from the Milan man, and then Balogun first time finish, no chance for Hill in the Paraguayan goal, and the USA officially make it 2-0. USA 2, Paraguay 0.
I mean, if I was a Gustavo Alfaro, I'd get Cáceres off as quick as possible. He's on a yellow card, he can't dive in for the tackle, and he is being skinned by Pulisic at every possible juncture. He was slow to react there to the pass. Pulisic gets away with him. Yes, Pulisic's cross gets a slight deflection. There's not enough on it. It falls kindly into the path of Balogun, and a player of his quality is not going to miss those sorts of chances. He's been fantastic ever since he moved from Arsenal to Monaco. Of course, England, London-born, the striker, loan spell at Middlesbrough. He scored plenty of goals in England. Wasn't really given the chance at North London that maybe he deserved at one point. He was a highly rated Hale End Academy product, but he has really come into his own over the past few seasons, and he's a wonderful finish, and finishes like that, I guess, is the reason why he's keeping the likes of Ricardo Pepi and Timothy Weah out of that starting striker spot.
Well, you spoke about the depth as well, and you were spot on, but sometimes players like that, don't they? The competition is here come the USA once again down the right hand side, but Kelly pulls it back, doesn't get enough on it, and it's dealt with by Gomez, who clears it away to the left hand side. Almiron tries to keep it in play, but once again Paraguay really struggling in this game. The USA have been absolutely fantastic with their play. Balogun, it's his 10th goal for his country. Got double digits last season for Monaco, 19 in all competitions. Now he's in double digits for his national side. 32.5 minutes played. USA 2, Paraguay 0. A really statement-making performance from the hosts. Well, one of 3 of hosts of this competition. Back to Freeman once again. As I say, I think we see it a lot in the Premier League. We cover a lot of football. You see teams go 1-0, 2-0, to sit back almost and say to the opponent, what are you going to do? We're going to hit on the counter now. We've got the lead. For the USA, I think Paraguay as well, they've also sat back. They're not trying to take it to them. The USA have, if anything, gone what I like to see, that we'll make it 1, but we want to go make it 2, we want to go make it 3. We want to put on a show this afternoon, this evening for the fans. I'll bring Will in a moment. Pulisic on the ball once again. I think you're right, Cáceres, if he doesn't go for half time, or even now, I'd be shocked. As you said, he clears on the yellow card, he can't get near Pulisic, but if you give someone with that pace, that ability, that creativity, any little bit of room, you can't do, and that means that people are coming over to double him up, and then that's creating space in the middle. But USA knocking it around, they're looking very good so far, and it can't get much better of a just opening half an hour for Pochettino and co.
It really can't. I mean, they're looking the likeliest team to get another goal as well, before Paraguay looking to get back into this game. I mean, I've just mentioned that Cáceres, I think, really should be brought off, but I also think he's not being helped by Diego Gomez at all. And I saw that on a fair few occasions for Brighton this season. As much as he's a willing runner going forward, and he's that helpful extra body, I never thought he's really done his defensive work, and he doesn't really stick his finger out when his side need to track back, and he hasn't helped out Cáceres on any occasion really. He's getting drawn out of position, and whenever it's a one-on-one, Cáceres just cannot deal with Pulisic or this man Robinson.
Down the left-hand side, that was Gomez getting back, if you will. Tillman still has it, tries to cut inside, still has it. Can he poke it forward for Balogun? No, he can't, but Dest will keep it alive. Almiron is one of the furthest players back. He's trying to play out of his own box, make its way to left-hand side to Alonso, who does just thump it long. What a great clearance, sir. Almiron will come away with the ball, but pressed down instantly by Dest on the right side. Great play from him, still going. Is he brought down? Yes, he is. Advantage will be given though, and the goal scorer of the USA's second, Balogun, comes away with it. Back to Robinson. This left-hand side, I think you're spot on that Gomez isn't helping out Pulisic one-on-one against Cáceres. Cuts inside, takes him down the byline, does what he wants, ball into the box. A little bit overhit. Jumping up there was Balogun. Dest will keep this attack and the play alive. Freeman at the back, Richards. First time pass out to Dest. Freeman with the overlapping run. Decent ball in from Dest. Cleared away by Gomez on as far as Tyler Adams, the Bournemouth midfielder. Freeman gets there first before Almiron can, and just first to every ball. They're winning every second ball. The first to any bobbling ball. Ream spreads it out to Pulisic, makes him go for it. Cáceres, big tackle coming in there. Had to get that one right, or he'd have been given his margin odds. But you are right about Gomez, because he's an attacking midfielder, isn't he? He's playing on the right hand side of a 4-4-2, and first of all, that's not really in fashion these days, is it? So he's probably thinking, I want to play in a World Cup, I want to play for my country, this isn't my position. But you are right, he's almost just not doing the basics, and Cáceres, it's been too easy for Pulisic.
Far too easy for Pulisic, and to be honest, I think Gomez is very fortunate that Robinson isn't overlapping more, because if so, they could be in real trouble on that far side. But Robinson doesn't need to overlap. With the sheer amount of joy Pulisic is getting, he can sort of hold his shape and maybe come inwards every now and again. But Diego Gomez, if you're not going to do the defensive work on the wing, move him off the wing. He wants to be an attacking midfielder, put him central. Then he can sort of just be that extra body in the middle of the park. You need willing runners up and down the wings to do their defensive work as well.
USA coming forward, ball for McKennie, cleared away on as far as Tillman goes for a strike, blocked away, will curl out for a corner. And I think the difference is right now, yes, USA are on the ball, but they are more willing to run out there. They're doing the dirty work, and it's resulting in attacking chances.
Yeah, I don't think, have I written down a Paraguay chance? I have. Enciso's shot in the 14th minute. Apart from that, it has been all USA. They have been absolutely brilliant so far in this contest, and with 10 minutes really of this first half remaining, you wouldn't be surprised if they went on and got a third.
No, and I think for in at half time, I think you come out in the second half, maybe substitutions are made, you go, right, this game's done and dusted, let's prepare already for the second and third group games. Will be a corner coming up here from the far side, an in-swinger from Tillman, header just goes wide, that is a whisker wide from Chris Richards. We've already spoke about Richards and Ream, they're probably the two players, and at first I thought, oh, that's going wide, and at the last second Hill, he starts to scramble, but he's just like nearly even hits the post.
Yeah, every replay just makes it look even closer than what we initially thought. Wonderful effort by Chris Richards, only a matter of inches away from getting that third, but Paraguay cannot deal with the Americans at the moment. Defensively, I am so shocked that Paraguay conceded as few as they did in South American qualifying. That leads me to believe one of two things: either they've just taken a massive dip in form, or maybe the South American teams this year aren't amazing, which could be a real worry if you're a fan of the likes of Brazil or the reigning champions Argentina.
No, I think maybe that's something that maybe teams will take away and go, oh, maybe Brazil aren't as the force that we thought. I think you're absolutely correct with that one. 38 minutes on the clock. USA 2, Paraguay 0. There's a free kick for the USA. I think Dest just took a knock to the face, so waiting for it to get back. We're looking at the stats. We spoke about a few of them. Possession 75% for the host USA. Looking at chances, 5 shots for the USA, 2 on target. Of course, 1 was an own goal, so I can't say 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Paraguay 2 shots, 1 on target, as you say, 1 on Enciso that just went wide. Really is the biggest, if you want to call it that. 0.10 on an XG for Paraguay, 0.33 for the USA. Left hand side, Pulisic goes back to Raheem, and again, I want to say it's a 3-4-3, but it is so fluid. Apart from Dest being given a bit more freedom to push on the right hand side, maybe it still is a back 4, if you will. That's a poor pass from said Dest into Almiron. Nice interception. Paraguay, they've just even got no time on the ball, have they been pressed, and Gomez is forced to clear it, plays it well away, but Ream will get there. Goes back to his goalkeeper. And I think as well, if you're the USA, maybe if this was, play devil's advocate, it wouldn't be this occasion, if it was 0-0 approaching 40 minutes in, maybe that press isn't as there, maybe Paraguay getting a bit of confidence, but right now the confidence is with USA. They lose the ball, they press high, they win it, they force Paraguay into mistake, and when they're on the ball they slow it down, they quicken it up. You can just see, you spoke about confidence playing Almiron, this is a confidence side of the USA.
Yeah, it really is, and I think Pochettino's done an unbelievable job to get his side not only so up for this game, which I'm sure he didn't need to do too much in order to get them geared up for a World Cup opener on home soil, but the fact they're playing with this much relentless intensity even when they're 2-0 up, it is such a joy to watch. And it needs to be a sort of a wake-up call and a calling card for the rest of the competition in this tournament, that you need to write the USA off at your own peril, because they're going to come at you non-stop, and it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain this tempo for the course of the 90.
100%. Here comes Dest, drives into the penalty area, fizzes it out of the goalkeeper, trying to fizz it across the face of goal. Once again, though, too easy to get past one of his defenders there. I know he's not as much of a tricky. He's a bit of a hybrid. He can play basically that right. I mean, he can play right and left. Dest, can't he, the former Barcelona man, but Christian Pulisic more of an out-and-out winger, but Dest, he's really causing trouble on that right-hand side, which I think in terms and also takes a bit of the pressure away from Pulisic.
Yeah, you thought it might have to be a bit of a one-man show at times with Christian Pulisic, and particularly with how much the American fans talk up Pulisic and of how good of a player he is. And I think at times he hasn't been able to show his class on a regular basis, particularly in Europe and at Chelsea. He really struggled. He's beginning to find his feet again at AC Milan. But today he has been a class above the rest, and he really deserves a goal at the end of this. He's got an assist, but if he can get his name on the score sheet, that would be his just reward from these opening 41 minutes.
He's been fantastic, and I don't think there's anyone below maybe a 7 or an 8 in a USA jersey. Pulisic coming forward once again, takes it past his fullback. Cáceres to get his body in the way. That's very clever from the fullback there. But you can just see that if that's an extra 5 yards, Pulisic just with a little bit of a shoulder and elbow into the back, he's always going to win the free kick. He's a Paraguayan fullback. If that was an extra 5 or 10 yards that he could get in front of him, maybe he just overhits that ball a bit more, he does get past his fullback.
He's got the pace on him every single day. Cáceres just doesn't know what to do with him, whether to sit back and invite him forward or try and get close to him man for man. It's just not working for him, and well, I think Gustavo Alfaro has a lot of some tough decisions to make at the half-time interval.
He really does, whether substitutions, change of tactic, and it's one of them, isn't it? You spoke rightfully about if you win it, with how the groups work now, if you win a game, you're practically through if you just match the other two games well. Paraguay, goal difference could be massive as well, couldn't it? So you're already 2-0 down. I'm not going to sit here and say 3-0 is a difference. Usually I would say that in tournament football, one goal could be massive. Here comes in, sees a great tackle from Freeman. Ream got a great ball into the middle, but it falls its way to Pulisic. Again, they're just winning those balls, winning the second balls, plays it out to Dest on the right-hand side, takes it past his man. He's looking full of confidence. Here's the full-back overlapping run from McKennie. Ball into the box, pulls it back, falls for a teammate. Tillman's strike is blocked away. Then Almiron will come back. Again, is he going to clear it? He's trying to get something forward for his team, plays it forward. And he just won't stick there for Sanabria, and forward comes Tyler Adams into the penalty area on the right-hand side. McKennie in an offside position, so he can't really help out his teammate there. He's forced to go back, but the pressure is still on. Closing in on the last few minutes, at least to the 45, as Wolves already spoke about hydration break. Probably looking at 2-3 minutes of stoppage time. Had the head injury as well for Alderete and Richards. So we're probably looking at anywhere between maybe 2 to 4 minutes of stoppage time. So we've still got a few more minutes to go, and USA, look, they'll be over the moon. They're 2-0 up. They play great. If they get a third, that's probably the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, you would assume so. You can't see Paraguay getting a shot on target, let alone a goal back into this game. They've been so poor so far. They've been outmatched for quality, intensity. They just cannot do anything going forward, and defensively they've looked really open at times. Although one maybe positive that they could take is from that run that we just saw from McKennie busting a gut to offer support to Serginho Dest. After his cross, he was just walking back to position, occasionally clutching his groin / upper thigh. I'm not sure if something's tweaked or popped. He seems to be moving okay at the moment, but it might, if he does have to go off with his performance so far, that would be a big miss.
He's really carrying the centre. Adams is doing the defensive part, but he's progressing the ball really well, getting into the final third as Juve man. He was always touted very well, wasn't he? Was McKennie, of course, at least from our eyes in Premier League football, never really shone at Leeds United. And because a lot of Leeds United fans, we know that are big fans of McKennie, but he's been fantastic this season for Juventus in the Serie A. Well, he's been fantastic this evening as well. Ball back to Ream, nearly a mistake there. He gets away with it, it's his header. I mean, that's the experience thing as well. Maybe it's a younger player, could have made an even worse mistake. And Paraguay have committed a few players forward here. Maybe USA can catch them on a counter-attack. Pulisic, back it goes. But maybe for Paraguay as well, you spoke about McKenna with that, looking like he had a bit of a knock. He also looked very fatigued. The USA, as there's going to be 5 minutes of stoppage time, we've just played 5 minutes ago. They've put a lot into this first half. Changes, as you rightfully said, that'll be big. But if they don't get the changes right, the players come on, don't really hit the ground running, Paraguay could have a better second half than the first.
They could hardly have it worse. The only way is up for Paraguay, and if they can start the second half in a similar vein that they started the first, and try and press the USA back and hold on to the ball a little bit better and work the wings, then they've got every chance they could get back into this game. And you'd probably say the opening goal for the USA arguably came against the run of play from a momentum point of view. Obviously it came from an own goal, and those unfortunate things do happen, but the reaction to going behind was so poor. They allowed the Americans to smother them and get on top of them, and they haven't been able to recover since. So I think half time is the best possible outcome for them, so they can just reset and treat the second half as a brand new game.
Yeah, almost Men in Black click. Forget about that first 45. We're 2-0 down, but could we win the second half? Could we be 2-1? But that's only a -1 goal difference, and we can go from there. Left-hand side, Almiron wants a throw-in. Yeah, I will say, it looked like after the second goal, he was almost in tears. And I can imagine it's a World Cup, it's a big stage, and you're 2-0 down. But I think you're right, getting to half-time, 15 minutes, let's talk about some changes. Almiron's got a hold of the ball. The referee's given a free kicker. Apologies to Paraguay. I think the former Newcastle man wanted to throw it in. Let's go. Well, we just thought a mistake from Ream. It could be something as simple as a mistake or a set piece, and that's how maybe they get back into it.
Yep, very, very possibly. As we're seeing Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau hand in hand watching on from the sidelines. Of course, Katy Perry involved in the opening ceremony for America this afternoon. They've got some defending to do at the moment, although that long ball is going to be so comfortably gathered by the goalkeeper in Matt Fries. Really, really poor there by Miguel Almiron.
And when we speak about them having so many little chances, I think that makes it feel even worse. If that was the USA ball into the box, you'd sit there and go, oh, okay, not a good ball, but I'm going to have more chances. Paraguay might not have another set piece of that even quality. We don't know. They haven't even had a corner, of course. They have the ball, though, halfway into their own half, in the middle with Robert Dillett. That's not the greatest of the first half, of course, with that own goal. He's given away a few fouls as well. Back to Alderete, trying to bring the ball forward. Puts it for Almiron, but way too much on that one. Freeman picks it up. Tillman, lovely ball to find McKennie. Drives forward, cuts it back onto his left boot. Needs support, and it isn't coming. And maybe that's where the fatigue is, but that's a poor pass, and Tillman picks it up. He looks full of running, and Ciso comes back to help out. But unfortunately, last off the Strasbourg man and out. But to me there, that McKennie chance, I feel if that was 10 or 15 minutes ago, Desti's overlapping him, there's runners into the box. You're 2-0 up, so that also plays a part, but that almost looked like McKennie was, oh, I'm really tired, let me cut back, I'm not going to put the ball into the box. Oh, there's no one here. It did look a little bit tired, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, you can only assume the heat is playing its part now in these latter stages of the first half, particularly the energy that the Americans have exerted in these opening exchanges of this match, as McKennie tries to get on the end of a Freeman pass, well intercepted by Alonso in the end. But yeah, McKennie looks like he's completely busted gut and is completely blown already. So you wonder where this second wind is going to come from, and it's maybe a little bit too early for him.
You do look at the bench, and you've spoken, I think in attacking areas, your spot, they've got a lot of depth. Maybe in midfield and defence is where there's depth there, but in terms of there is a bit of a drop-off, isn't there?
Yeah.
If you were to bring on a Haji Wright or a Pepe, maybe not as much of a drop-off up front. Long ball forward for Balogun. Great tackle. He still has the ball, though. Cuts inside. Oh. What a finish. And it's a brace for Balogun. Last minute of stoppage time. He tells everyone, calm down. I've made it 3-0. I've got my brace. What a first 45 minutes for the USA. They can be fatigued all they want because they've done the business in the first 45 minutes. It was a great tackle from Alderete at first, but Balogun still came away with the ball. Just cut inside. Passed it into the top corner. What a finish from the Monaco man. It is USA 3, Paraguay 0.
Unbelievable finish that is by the American striker following Balogun. A lot of depressed faces in the stands for Paraguay. And they had so little to cheer about, but that finish is absolutely sublime by following Balogun. Found by the ball by Malik Tillman, clearly onside. He just gets it himself in front of Omar Arete. A little bit of fortune in how he holds on to it, but that is whipped into the top left-hand corner. No goalkeeper in the world is saving that. Cracking finish.
I mean, it's something new that was coming to play this year. The referee cam and all that. We saw the view from the referee. My word, it's a great finish, but it looks even better when you can see it on the pitch. We won't even get back underway for the second half, as that is half-time. What an impressive and statement-making first 45 minutes that was from the USA. Don't go from Bobadilla 7 minutes in, gave them a 1-0 lead, but a Balogun brace means that at half-time, as they're already having a meeting at Paraguay on the field before they even go into the dressing rooms. It'll be interesting to see how they do come out or changes, but half-time at the Los Angeles Stadium, it's USA 3, Paraguay 0.
A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete before firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete while firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete while firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete while firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete while firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete while firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead in rather fortuitous fashion with McKennie's cross hitting the boot of Bobadilla before going into the back of the net. The next two goals, though, were completely fair and sublime. Pulisic finding Balogun, firing it into the back of the net from 12 yards before, with the final kick of the first half, Balogun shrugged off Alderete while firing into the top right-hand corner. A perfect half for the tournament hosts as the USA are 3-0 up over Paraguay after the first period of 45 minutes. They took the lead. We'll leave that there because we are now back underway for the second half of this contest. USA 3-0 up after the first period of 45 minutes. A absolutely sublime first half from the Americans. And they immediately try and hit Paraguay once again, who have got a lot of work to do to try and get back into this contest. It looks like there has been some changes for both teams, which will get confirmed to you as soon as we can. The main story, though, looks to be that Sebastian Berhalter, the Vancouver Whitecaps midfielder, is on. Christian Pulisic has been brought off, which me and Lewis Rafty are taking you through this game, can only assume, if it's not an injury, it's because Mauricio Pochettino thinks the game is already won.
You'd have to assume that, wouldn't you? I think that's, you're right, if it's not one of them two, I'm very worried what it could be, if I'm being bluntly honest, because if it is, he goes, right, throwing at half-time, you've done your job, Christian Pulisic, you've got your assist as well. It's game done and dusted. Let's give the other boys a chance. It's coming forward ball here. Cáceres, he'll be breathing a sigh of relief. Well, the fullback, we were talking about him at half-time, maybe coming off. Looks like Mauricio's come on for Bobadilla, and unfortunately scored that own goal. And didn't have a great half either, unfortunately. The Palmeiras attacking midfield, the 24-year-old, looks like he's on for Bobadilla. He's more of an attacking player than Bobadilla as well, you'd have to say. But going back to Pulisic, yeah, it looks like Tillman's gone more to the role he was on, and And then the substitutes playing a little bit deeper. We'll have to see how it plays out, but substitutes could be vital for both sides. But USA, great first 45 minutes. I think if you Pochettino, you may be looking, let's keep a clean sheet to go with this performance.
Oh yeah, definitely. That will be the one thing that will be the cherry on top for Mauricio Pochettino and his side. They can not only hold on to the 3 points, but they can also come away with a clean sheet. Goal difference and goals scored could be so pivotal in terms of where they finish in their group, of course. So just running through the lineups once again, if you did miss them in the earlier preamble, and of course with the changes for either side, as Enciso's done so well to put it through the legs of McKennie and start a new attack for Paraguay. In fact, I'll let you know the lineups after this chance for the visitors. Cáceres putting the ball in, not convincingly cleared by Ream, nor by McKennie. Falls to Almiron, his shot is blocked by his own man in Sanabria, and eventually that will fall to Anthony Robinson to tow that ball away from danger. Balogun and Gustavo Gomez having a few choice words to each other. Gomez pulling back Balogun, that's going to be a free kick. Gustavo Gomez furious with Danny McKelly for awarding the free kick. He's got to be careful, he is on a yellow card, of course. Look at the replay, I mean, it seems to be very much 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
It does. I can understand the referee giving the foul, but I also look and go, well, both players were pulling each other's jersey. Maybe you could say Gomez was the one who initiated it, but you are spot on. He's already got a yellow card for we believe is back-chatting the referee. That's poor. Here comes Paraguay.
Really poor from Freeman, and it allows an opportunity here for Diego Gomez to come forward. He looks to get away from Ream. He gets a big effort, takes a deflection off of Tim Ream, goes over the crossbar for a corner kick for Paraguay, but that was the real opportunity to get back into this game.
I mean, it's a poor pass, but he does read it well, does Gomez, to give him credit. That's what he is good at. We give him a lot of grief, and rightfully so in the first half, of not backtracking and not helping out his fullback, because he didn't. It was very poor, but that's where he's good areas. He's a good high pressure. He reads the play really well, and if I'm not mistaken, that will be their first corner. It is a chance to create something out of nothing and a mistake, really.
Yes, it really is an opportunity now for Paraguay. Can they kickstart what would be the most improbable of comebacks? Lovely skill by Gomez to get away from one and gets a strike away. Takes a block from his own man Sanabria. Will it be cleared away by McKennie? They're playing the ball around the back. Eventually it's following Balogun that just puts his boot through it to launch that ball away from danger. Attack still on here for Paraguay. Cáceres rolls it down the wing for Almiron. Get away from Tim Ream, does so. Lovely skill, goes down. That's surely not going to be a free kick. He delayed him going down to the floor. Tim Ream has given away the free kick, and he's been shown a yellow card. That looked like a really delayed decision by both the linesman and Danny McKelly.
I don't think that's a foul at all. I think that's I'd love to just watch a different angle, because to me it looks like he just goes down because he loses momentum and he sees the ball going out of play. It's great play from the former Newcastle man, don't get me wrong. Does Ream...
It's a dive, massive dive.
Massive dive. He leaves his left foot in and gets, if you want to see his clips, it's not even clipped, but he leaves his foot in there, takes another step, can see he's not getting the ball, and then goes down. And I think from a referee's point of view, that's where the linesman needs to help you out a little bit there.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar watching on from the stands, the basketball legend. I'm sure he might be happy with that decision going against the Americans. But can Paraguay have a bit of a smash and grab here to get the goal back? And Enciso whipping the ball into the area. Two players have gone for the same ball for Paraguay. It's turned away. It looks like it's going to get brought back here from Danny McKelly. He's put his hand up into the air, finger to his ear. Is there VAR check here potentially for a penalty? I can only assume that is the reason why the referee has held up the play. VAR check for mistaken identity. Now, I've never seen this before. I'm a little bit perplexed here. Can you help me out here, Lewis?
That's new for me as well. That wasn't on my bingo card for this morning. My only assumption can be is that I don't know. Mistaken identity.
It's because VAR, I think, has got involved because they realised it's a dive by Miguel Almiron and a yellow card was shown to Tim Ream, and maybe they're going to overturn that decision and it's not going to be a yellow for Tim Ream, it's going to be a yellow for Miguel Almiron.
That's my honest, you're spot on there. I mean, what I will say is, to say mistaken identity, you need to rewrite that, because to me that would be, for example, yellow card to the wrong person, not in terms of what this is. But for example, you've given a card to Anthony Robinson when Tim Ream made the foul, for example, whereas he's looking at it and it will look like it will be overturned. It's a correct decision. The only thing you would say is it looks like he's got a red card out there. So it looks he's got a yellow card. So the yellow card's been taken away, and the yellow card has been given for Amaral. Apologies. He had the red card out there.
Yeah.
Usually the referees have the cards in different pockets, so you see the red card come out. You're into think that it's the correct decision completely, because you pointed out perfectly.
Yeah.
It is a dive. He leaves his left foot in there, and it's not a foul. It is a dive. Right, great decision. Only thing you would say is, first of all, mistaken identity. That's a weird way to use the difference of reversed it, and to say that the free kick came in before it was even looked at. That. Look, it's the first time we get that, but that needs to be looked at completely before the free kick's even taken. Yeah,
I was going to mention the exact same thing. The fact that they've gone back to this after the free kick has been taken, that does seem poor. But I'm very happy that the correct decision has been done, and the fact that they have punished Almiron for diving. I hate to see diving, and particularly dives like that they get away with it and clearly are doing it just to get that advantage. I'm a big fan of those decisions being punished, but it needs to be a little bit snappier, a little bit quicker to help the flow of the game. And because the ball is currently back with Paraguay, it's been 8 minutes into the second half, I can now finally give you the lineups I've been trying to give you for quite some time. So for America, it is Freese in goal, Freeman, Richards, Ream and Robinson in the back four, McKennie and Adams the holding midfielders, Dest, Tillman, Berhalter supporting, following Balogun up top. For Paraguay, it's Hill in goal, Alonso, Alderete, Gomez and Cáceres in the back four, Almiron, Mauricio, Cubas and Diego Gomez in the midfield. It's Julio Enciso and Sanabria up top as Tillman tries to roll it through for Serginho Dest. Really poor pass though by the American number 17. Needed so much more power on that ball before it was eventually intercepted and comfortably cleared away by Omar Alderete. After, again, bright start from Paraguay, which I was saying in the first half, they needed a bright start to the second half to give them any form of hope to get back into this contest. But now the Americans are just beginning to click into gear again. Yeah, and it's almost, even though it was a very quick storm, but it was almost Paraguay came out with a lot to prove. And they've only made the one change, but it was an attacking one, wasn't it, you'd have to say. So you like to see it. Again, I spoke about goal difference. -3 now from the first game. That's a big hill to overcome. A possible shout for penalty. Balogun, he's absolutely furious. I don't think it is a penalty at all. Sure, it will be reviewed, of course. But now it's if you concede that fourth, if you concede that fifth, it really becomes dire for Paraguay. Replay there. I mean, he rolls it through the legs of Alderete. There's contact. Is there enough for it to be a penalty? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the problem we've got is, and VAR has improved with decisions like that. I think it's a great decision from the ref. He's in a great position as well. It is a Dutch official. But it's more that I think Balogun would sit there and say, I've seen that given before. And I think even I myself need to get out of that mindset that just because it's given before doesn't mean it is one there. I think you're right, there is contact, but I think Balogun goes to ground looking for it. He definitely is searching for that decision to go his way as Paraguay just play the ball around in a dangerous area. It falls to Serginho Dest on the edge. He rolls it out towards the right for McKennie, taking on Cubas. Shepherded away by the number 14 for Paraguay. So Dest back to Freeman. Poor play. Picked up now by Cubas, and Paraguay try and clear the ball away from danger. Diego Gomez gifting the ball straight back to the Americans though. Sebastian Berhalter, born in London but American international. This is a foul surely on the back there of Tyler Adams. That's going to be a free kick, and it's going to be a word in the ear at the very least of Julio Enciso, because that looked a very sore one on the Bournemouth man. Looked a little bit late as well. I think the referee, I think he does the right thing, because they look like they might have gone down the right hand side for advantage, but it's a foul all day long. It's a late one as well from the Paraguayan man. I think that's the thing, they just can't get close, can they? Just looking at, it's a bit of a, not malicious, but it's a bit of a scrape down the right Achilles, isn't it? Which we all know that's really painful, but here come USA again. Dest trying to play a reverse pass towards the right hand side in Tillman, intercepted well, falls to Almiron, who gets away from Berhalter, who took a tumble. Will fall to Alonso. Really poor pass by Cáceres. It will now be reversed to Anthony Robinson, who's got pace. Oh, he skins Cáceres with ease. He dings it across, looks for Balogun, it eludes him. It falls to McKennie on the edge. McKennie cuts it back for Tillman. His effort well blocked by Cubas, and that will be turned away from danger by Paraguay, but lovely break again by the Americans, and once again is down the same side as Cáceres.
Even though Pulisic is now on the bench, what a play that was from Robinson. But again, Cáceres, he gives himself up, doesn't he, because he commits, but he's not committing enough. I know he's on a yellow card, but it's just poor from the fullback once again. And again, if that was the first time in the game, we go, okay, he made a mistake. He's made a lot of mistakes, unfortunately, this evening / early morning for myself and Will. I think maybe as well, if you are USA, maybe looking at more than one, you'd love to get Balogun a hat-trick as well.
Yes, you definitely would. Unfortunately, my attention was diverted away there because I was beginning to get a little bit angry at the sight of Paris Hilton deciding to try and take photos with as many people as possible rather than watching the game. Just come to a World Cup, watch the game. You've got time for photos at half-time and full-time. The game is on. Give the players their heed. As the ball is picked up by Tyler Adams towards the left-hand side in Anthony Robinson. Drop of the shoulder, tries to get away from Cáceres. Back it goes to Tyler Adams. Ream over towards the right-hand side now with Freeman. Des with acres of space looks to bring this ball further up the field. Will take on Alonso in towards the area. Little stumble, holds on to it though, and Des can't quite dig out the cross. It's dealt with by Alonso. That will be a corner kick though for the Americans.
Again, really good play from Des. I thought that was better defending from Alonso on that other side. I mean, again, if we're being honest, Alonso has been better helped defensively and hasn't had players running in non-stop. But again, there was that Chris Richards header in the first half, wasn't there, from a corner that was really, really close. Whisker wide. Robinson, an in-swinging opportunity here to make it 4-0. The Los Angeles Stadium will erupt.
Yes, fourth goal. Well, if the game isn't over already, it definitely would be over with a fourth, you'd imagine. I mean, Paraguay, you'd say, have been better in this second half, at least defensively, but going forward, there's still no spark to their attack. And that's what we mentioned earlier on, that was where the issues may rise, as a yellow card has been shown to Tyler Adams for a late tackle on the substitute for Paraguay, Mauricio. So that's the first yellow card for an American in this game. Fourth yellow card, I should say, in total. I don't think he can have too many complaints, but as I was mentioning earlier, Paraguay, I don't see where a goal's coming from.
No, we spoke about Enciso, who I think he's playing quite well for what it's worth. I mean, you said in the first half, rightfully so, it can't get any worse for Paraguay. He can't really, can it? He's only up from here, you're right with that. But as we spoke about as well with Enciso, he can't cross the ball and score it, can he? He's more, and you spoke about his Brighton record, he can score a screamer. He's got goals in him, but he's a creator. He needs someone to make the runs off of him. And if anything, you look at Almiron's got goals in him. They've all got goals in them as football players, of course, but they look like they're all creators. They all want the ball, don't they? Gomez wants the ball, Almiron wants the ball. There's no runners in behind, and unless it's a scrappy goal, I don't see anything coming for Paraguay.
McKennie digs out a cross into the area, eludes Balogun, but will fall to Tillman on the edge of the area. He fancies it on his right, pokes it through the legs to Balogun, who can't quite get away from one. Then falls to Tillman, who digs a strike away with his toe. Goes out of play for a goal kick. It's not going to be a penalty despite the collision with Gustavo Gomez. I think Balogun was also hoping for a penalty at one point. But yeah, I mean, you can argue it's a little bit of a late tackle by Gomez because he does catch Tillman. But I don't think he's done much wrong there.
No, I think it's one of them where I think if you are the USA, you'd argue that would be given in the middle of the pitch, but the problem is the ball's gone out of play by the time Gomez has hit him as well. And you also say it's not changed direction of his shot, has it? If Gomez is there or not there, Tillman still gets that shot wide. If that shot was going on goal, for example, maybe, and it hits him and puts him off, that's a different question. But Paraguay, look, they're pressing a bit higher here. They've just got to be a bit more confident. USA, they are very confident. I think they won a fourth, and they're playing some great stuff, and they're going to come forward again.
I'm going to come forward again. It's Weston McKennie who will break forward, and he lays it down the right-hand side for Serginho Des. There's four in the middle. Anthony Robinson being one of them, the left-back operating as an auxiliary striker for the moment there. Eventually it is turned away. It falls to Berhalter, who looks to try and find Malik Tillman, brings it down on a great touch. It's poked away by Cáceres, who stops the ball from going out for a corner. That'll be a throw-in for the USA on this near left-hand side. And just going back to your earlier point in terms of the struggle for goals for Paraguay, as we're now seeing a change being made. It looks like one of their strikers is coming off. Antonio Sanabria, here's race, here's run. And it looks like it's Alex Arce that is going to come on in his stead. Sanabria has scored 7 goals in 49 games now for Paraguay in his international career. He's been replaced by a fellow 30-year-old, this is now his 16th appearance, and has scored just 1. The goals are getting fewer and fewer on the field.
Yeah, they're not coming on and you go, oh, okay. A lot of times you see like a journeyman strikers, don't you? Maybe in the mid to late 30s, but they've got goals in them, and they go, because you give us a good 20-30 minutes at the back end for a lot of countries. They don't have that, unfortunately, do they? And the 30-year-old, he's going to come on and it's something different and fresh, but whilst there's no chances, Gomez goes in late there. Balogun gets up to give him credit, but here come USA.
Acres of space again. It's Serginho Dest trying to dig out a cross. No one was there to tap home. It eluded Hill, but somehow there was no one there to pick up, and eventually it's Cáceres who will poke the ball away from danger. Will be picked up again though by Chris Richards as USA come forward once again. Here is Alex Freeman. He tries to dink it over the top for the run of Balogun. Won't find him, and eventually will be picked up by Hill on the back line. Seeing a few Tudor pictures focusing in on Tom Cruise and David Beckham watching on in the stands. Plenty of celebrities at the Los Angeles Stadium, as you would expect with Los Angeles. You probably think that the vast majority of the people in the stands are either celebrities or budding actors of some point. There's a chance here for Balogun to bring the ball forward. He lays it back looking for Sebastian Berhalter. It was just misplaced though there by the former Arsenal man. Can't be picked off in the end by Paraguay. Was that the man to aim for from the cross though?
I don't think it was, and what I will say is, first of all, he's on a hat-trick, so I think he should go for a goal there. The run on the left-hand side, I want to say it was Tillman, was being marked really well. So if you go for that ball, the defender's always going to get in front of him realistically. Balogun, I think if he just puts his head down, puts his laces through it, it could rebound to a teammate, could go in the back of the net. We saw that finish with his left foot. We'd already know he's a great striker, but I think that's the one time where you probably, especially as a striker, you would say, if I'm a teammate, I'm going, look, not many options, just go for goal, see what comes of it. But again, McKennie, there's USA been great, but I feel like McKennie's a real heartbeat of this team.
Yes, I'd have to agree. It's Almiron. Moves that back to Cáceres. Picked up again by Gustavo Gomez to find Omar Alderete. 64 minutes gone in this contest. Listening to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. USA 3, Paraguay 0. Enciso gets away from one and looks to drive forward here for Paraguay. There's a man down catching his face as Enciso continues to drive. He gets a shot. Will it fall to Almiron? No, the clearance is poor. It falls eventually to Diego Gomez, who's right underneath the effort, fires it into Rosed. Poor strike in the end by the Brighton man. The attack goes begging.
Well, we saw a lot of celebrities, maybe they've just picked up match balls. That's fallen into one of those seats, hasn't it? But once again, the man we spoke about, Julio Enciso, I said McKennie's the heartbeat of the team, and Enciso is just the full body of the team, isn't he? And again, I don't blame Gomez because it fell for him. USA have got players back, goal for a strike at goal. There is a fan that's picked it. I don't know how far up in the stadium he was. But if you Gomez there, the problem is he's always leaning back, and you just want to almost drill that, don't you, at the goalkeeper, because I'm not going to sit here and say Matthew Freese. You don't know how good of a goalkeeper is if he's not tested, and that's what Paraguay haven't done this evening.
Yes, it's only his 16th appearance for the national team, keeping out the more experienced Matt Turner to start in goal today for the Americans. As you mentioned, there was a fan in the stands that managed to catch that strike from Diego Gomez. I'm sure he's in for a bit of a unfortunate realisation when he realises it's not like baseball. You can't keep the ball that you catch. You have to throw that straight back, mate, unfortunately. As Serginho Dest finds Tillman. Rolls it back for Tyler Adams. It's Freeman. Here's Richards. Spreading it over to Tim Ream. Back to Richards again. No rush to try and press higher up the field. What do you think is running through Pochettino's mind at the moment? He's decided 3-0 up. He's already made a change in bringing off the star man Pulisic, as he thinks that the game is done and he can be rested for future matches. Does he bring on fringe players to give them this moment in front of their own fans, or does he give players that could be starters in future games to give them those minutes?
I think that's a bit of the problem he's probably got. I don't know, because as we spoke about, I think in attacking and midfield areas there's a lot of quality there, there's a lot of depth. defensively is where I look at that back 3-4, whatever you want to look at it, specifically Ream, Richards and Freeman. The drop-off is quite a lot compared to the attacking options. So I look at, maybe I could see a Brendan Aronson coming on and getting some minutes. I could see a Pepe coming on as well. Maybe Haji Wright comes on and gets some minutes. But as all more forward, Chris Richards is going to deal with it. I think you are caught in that. And you're also saying that the players, you want to rest them, but when they're full of confidence, Balogun will say, I want to go get another goal. Or McKennie might want to go get something. So it's also that mix of, as a coach, you don't want to take players off when they're confident, but you also can go, but we've got 2 other group games and we want to go far in this competition.
Yes, I'm sure Balogun will want to have as many minutes as possible, as he's the current front runner for the Golden Boot in these very early stages of the tournament. They have to think back to, I think it was Qatar, over the course of the group stages. It was Enner Valencia that was the top goal scorer after the first round of 3, and that started off with him scoring twice in his opening game as well, so it could be a good sign for Balogun for a massive tournament, as we do have our hydration break for this second half. The 25 minutes or so to go. Americans haven't really need to get out of a second gear in this second period, but many more positives for Paraguay to take from that first half, because I don't really think the Americans have had a shot, or at least anything meaningful, in the final third, because Paraguay have defended that much better.
They haven't. That's what you rightfully pointed out coming into this game. There's not many goals for Paraguay, but they do defend really well, and they defend as a unit, don't they? They take pride in the defending, if anything. First and foremost, of course, 7 minutes in an own goal. That's a bit unlucky. And then, of course, as we spoke about in terms of what if it's 0-0 half an hour in, Paraguay might get a bit of confidence, the pressure might start to mount on the USA. It just went their way. We've seen it time and time again, haven't we? For me, I look at the Champions League final. I think Arsenal scoring very early was probably bad for them, because then they sat back a bit too much. It's the same for Paraguay. If they could have kept it 30 minutes level, you never know, maybe USA crumble instead. They got that goal, and you clearly saw that it was fantastic for them in terms of confidence. So that's in tournament competition, that is how close it can be. Maybe Bobadilla leaves it, Balogun goes for a strike and it goes over the goal. You don't know, maybe Balogun buries it anyway. So it's a 1-0. It's fine margins in this tournament, and we spoke about half-time, forgetting about that. They've been better in the second half, and let's be fair, maybe Paraguay got a goal. You can almost mentally say, we won the second half and we were much better.
They have been very dominant in this first period. Well, in this first game at least. The Americans, the stats come up on my screen, that the 40 touches that America have had in the attacking box, the most they've had in any FIFA World Cup match since 1966. Shows that this really could be the best of the lot in terms of their World Cup squads, past and present, for America. We are past the halfway stage of this second half. It is the USA 3, Paraguay 0. And taking us through to full time will be Lewis Raftery.
Thank you very much. Well, as you said, it's uber impressive from the host this evening. As I said, it's on just after 3:30 for myself, and well, very early doors in England. Of course, a warm welcome wherever you listen to, if it's the morning, if you're a little bit ahead, wherever it is in terms of listening. Good morning, if you will. Just about 7:30 in the evening in LA at the moment. Long throw coming up from Alonso, puts it into the box. It's nodded away by Ream. Falls on the edge of the hammering. Goes for a strike. It's a wicked one. We know he's got goals and he's got screamers in his locker. That's a little bit silly from Cáceres and Almiron. We're pushing the back there. A lot of the fans in the stands asking for a second yellow card, because both of them are on one, has to be mentioned. But it's just a little bit of a push, and Cáceres, he's had a game to forget. Well, one thing I will say though, it's the bare minimum you might expect from a player, but he's not. His head hasn't dropped. He's continued to go, hasn't he? Continued to keep his spirits high, and I think maybe as a coach, that's what you want to see. The USA have a player down. We'll bring confirmation of that in a moment, but they are going to make a double change. The USA waiting for full confirmation of them. Pepe will be the first one. It will be Timothy Weah. It's Balogun who's gone down now. Is that because he knows he's going off, and we've seen that before, or is that worryingly maybe a bit of a knock?
I think it's more it could be a little bit of the latter. He does seem to be ever so slightly limping at following Balogun. He will be wrapped in cotton wool, and I'm sure he's going to be fine for the coming matches of the tournament. But he is being replaced, and it is Weah that is coming on in his stead. And it looks like it's going to be Serginho Dest that also makes way for Ricardo Pepi.
Yeah, so it's a double change, but like for like that, the typically Weah very much, he can play in a lot of positions. Can the winger, I'll call him Pepe, of course, the man playing his trade in the Eredivisie with PSV Eindhoven. Decent season this year, 19 goals in all the competitions. And you rightfully said, well, Balogun kept him out of the 11. But again, now, looking at Balogun, he'll have won his hat-trick. He said he was holding his left calf a little bit more than anything. But now Pepe coming and go, well, maybe I need to prove myself now, because he's on a brace. He's on the start of the next game. I need to prove myself. Yep,
it's a big next 20 minutes or so. You'd probably say he needs a goal involvement to really ask the question of Pochettino, because if Balogun is carrying any form of knock, if he can see that Pepe, with just a few minutes of showing in this second period, if he can get himself a goal involvement, goal or assist, as Enciso's an opportunity here for Paraguay, and maybe there is a route back, there is a goal here. Mauricio putting the ball in the back of the net, uncharacteristically poor defending from the Americans. Suddenly it's USA 3, Paraguay 1.
And that is what a shock that is. It's only his fourth appearance, and it's his first ever goal for his country. This is what we spoke about in the first half, didn't we? Could it be a mistake? Early on in the first half, Gomez latched onto a poor pass, didn't he? Nothing really came of it. And this is just from a free kick halfway into the Paraguayan half, looking for offsides here, there, everywhere from the replay. It's nodded on. At the back, no one really takes control. Ream misses it. Nice first time pass from Enciso. Lovely finish from Mauricio Palmares forward. And it's just a first time finish into the bottom corner. Just, we'll say 20 minutes plus, because we're going to get stoppage time, of course. We're just about to hit 74 minutes on the clock. Paraguay, is there hope?
I think there might be, I mean, if they have a bit of momentum and can catch out a semi-shell-shocked Americans who will be, reeling the fact that they've conceded and lost their clean sheet, they get another one before, well, realistically before the 90th. We're in for a barnstorming finish here, and you just have to wonder what the atmosphere is like at the Los Angeles Stadium, but also what this could do to the Americans if they were to lose the lead. There's a chance again, though.
Tillman in the area, striker goal straight at the keeper. It was a poor pass. Tillman latched on, so it looked to play a 1-2 with Weah. They just got caught in between. Pepe was there as well. I feel that when that was played into the forward, I feel if that's Balogun, he's taking a touch and he's striking that, and it's a hat-trick. Is that the difference of a confidence player, a player who's just come on and is feeling his way into the game?
Yeah, I think so, and it's also fallen to a man who isn't the most prolific of players in Maximum, and particularly today, all of his shots seem to be quite weak. He's going for placement rather than power, and there he made completely the wrong choice, and now he's just trying to thread through Ricardo Pepi. It's another misplaced pass. He's doing everything he can to make up for that earlier area, but it was a really poor effort. Anywhere else than where he put it, it's in the back of the net, and it's a gift for Paraguay to still remain not exactly in touching distance, but not out of it.
If that would have gone 4-1, this Paraguay have almost got that second lease of life, haven't they? And then we make a mistake at the back, and USA have scored. And now that's another mistake in the middle, picked up by Weah. USA, it's been a kick up the backside, but they're looking to almost get that free-goal buffer back once again. Tillman on the left-hand side to Robinson. As Wolves already mentioned a good few times, the left-hand side's been very, very kind for USA this afternoon, or going into evening in LA, I should say. Freeman, Behansen, he's not seen much of the ball in the second half. He's coming on for Pulisic. And maybe Paraguay as well, catching USA a little bit cold. It was out of that hydration break as well. I'm sure heads are a little bit lax after that. They've just made a double change as well, really, at the USA. Freeman back to Richards. Under 15 minutes to go of the 90, then of course we will get stoppage time. It's independent of Tube Studio commentary of this clash at the Los Angeles Stadium. United States free, Paraguay 1. No goal from Bobadilla early on, and then a brace from Balogun in the latter stages of the first half. But USA freeing up, and comfortably freeing up, has to be said. But a goal out of nowhere for Paraguay and for substitute Mauricio things. There is life, and there is that little bit of a question in this game, and there's a foul given away there by Kubas in the middle, just inside the USA half. Means that the host do get the ball, and play devil's advocate here, because it could happen, as you said, even if Paraguay get a goal in the 90th minute, it's still got stoppage time, to be 3-0 up and then possibly draw. Brink will in a moment, actually. So here come USA. Ball out to the right-hand side to Weyer. Goes for a striker goal! So just wide on to keep it, fingertips on that one. I think it might have just gone wide. 3-0 up at half-time, flying, comfortable in the second half. Full-time, 3-all. What would that do to USA?
I think from a confidence point of view, that would be an absolute killer. It's actually a really good save, that, from the strike by Weyer. It actually hits the camera, but looks of things, that's not been spotted, and it is going to be a goal kick for Paraguay, when it really was a decent stop by Gil in the Paraguay goal. But yeah, if USA somehow from this position don't go on to win this game, you worry for their next two games, what that'll do to them mentally. You just think, after what is such a promising first performance, it could go back to bite them, and they could end up not progressing from the group. It really could be absolutely massive if they capitulate.
It's a lot of ifs and buts on at the moment. They're easily going to be picking up 3 goals and 3 points, of course. Paraguay are going to make a double change in just a moment, but you can see goals change games, goals give confidence. Paraguay couldn't even get a sniff of a touch in the first half. Now USA, they're sitting back a little bit more. Paraguay getting on the ball, they're knocking it around. Oh, that's a great interception from Pepe. That's fresh legs, though, and that could be the difference. Tillman driving forward, not for the first time, takes it past a few. Gomez comes over, although there will be a foul in the middle. Gomez isn't happy. I don't think it's on Gomez. The referee, I think that's what Gomez is trying to say. I won the ball. I think the referee is trying to say it's not on you. Because he's getting a yellow card. I was waiting for confirmation. Looks, and it might be Diego Gomez who's picked up, because that is a foul on Gomez. Because if that's Gustavo Gomez, he would have been sent off.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. And again, his reaction, I thought for a moment was going to see him pick up a second yellow, but he has avoided it. Cáceres is finally coming off after having such a difficult time in this game, as is Miguel Almiron. His race is run. We are seeing a double change being made by Paraguay. It looks like Gustavo Velasquez, the Cholo Porteño defender, is coming on. And it also looks like the Palmeiras man and former Nottingham Forest midfielder Ramon Sosa is also on as well.
There's that double change, so looking to see what they can create out of it, has to be said. They do have defending to do here, though. All about the delivery, though, it has to be said, from USA here. They've some good corners so far. They've really had a free kick at this range so far. Vincent's over it, as well as Berhalter. Really suits a left footer, you'd have to say. Once again, just waiting for the game to get back underway. Also, we saw Sosa by our broadcasters being given. Again, this is maybe mistaken identity, if you want to go off of that, as Sosa was said that he was coming on, but on the sidelines, number 17, Alejandro Romero, is the man who's coming on. So, and apologies, it's at least on his back is a different name to what I've got written down on my substitute, so we'll get that sorted out in a minute. But USA have this set-piece opportunity, this free kick. It will be taken by Berhalter. It's a decent delivery in, headed away to Ream on the edge of the area, knocks it back into a dangerous area. Will it fall for Pepe? It's an awkward bounce, tries to come away with the ball, but Paraguay clear it away. Well defended though by Pepe in the attacking areas to press high and win it back. USA, they're trying to keep their energy high. Still have it with Tillman on the left-hand side. He's been brilliant, especially in the small forward area in the second half. He's got 2 Paraguay players on him in the corner. Tries to backheel it to get away there, but it will go out for a goal kick. Less than 10 minutes to go. USA 3, Paraguay 1. And the substitutes quite clearly are. I think for USA, they made the double change. They made the change at half-time. Looks like they might make a few more as well. Gio Reyna coming on. This is where it's so difficult, isn't it? Because you make a sub and they come on and bring energy, but do they bring performance with it as well? That's always a problem.
Yeah, that is going to be the big question. See if these fresh legs can actually make some form of impact in this contest. Velasquez, like for Cáceres, just maybe fresh legs to try and deal with Anthony Robinson more than anything else. We're now finally seeing this change. Malik Tillman off, another former Forest man in a brief loan spell there, of course. Gio Reyna coming on in his stead. The other changes for Paraguay, I do quite like Renan Sosa on for Almiron. I didn't think Almiron had a great game. Yes, he had a key part to play in the goal for Paraguay, but apart from that, I don't think he's been brilliant going forward. And then the final change, Diego Gomez, I think, was also pretty poor in the final third. And a man with, well, 3 different names. Alejandro Romero, you had on your side, he's got Gamara on his back, but his nickname is Kaku. Oh. So he's known in Al Ain in the UAE as Kaku. And I think of them all, that's probably the name I'm going to go for, as it's probably the easiest from a pronunciation point of view. But he is an attacking midfielder, and he's got 6 goals in 33 games. Actually puts him 3rd in the Paraguay squad for goals scored over the course of the 26 players, behind Almiron with 10 and Sanabria with 7. It actually means then he's the player that has got the most international goals for Paraguay currently on the field.
That's important. It's experience coming on as well, isn't it? And you're right, Sosa brings a lot of Enciso's done incredibly well. He's been fantastic. Even in the first half, he was just trying to create stuff and nothing was coming off. He's won a free kick here on the left-hand side. Looks like he'll be the one to take it as well. Goalkeeper isn't happy with that. It's a good ball into the box, looking for Gustavo Gomez. It's headed away to the edge of the area. Adams will win the header. Try and nod it away. Win a free kick as well. Oh, the linesman's flag has gone up there. Freeze there just before. I don't know if he was saying about offsides or pushing further up. It is an offside for nearly even 2 players. Gomez, I think, is just offside. Very close. Like Alonso might have been offside as well, but it will be a free kick, and unfortunately again it's Paraguay. You've got 2 goals to get back, you've got this free kick. Oh, can we create something? Oh, it's an offside free kick. It just takes a bit of the air out of the Paraguayans.
Yeah, it will do, and we don't have too much time left now. 7 minutes plus any added on time for stoppages. They need to find energy from somewhere, and that chance to really get at this American side to try and find a way back into this contest. They've only had 1 shot on target. It's ended up in the back of the net. You can't really say the goalkeeper's been tested. All he's had to do really is either take goal kicks and free kicks and pick the ball out the back of the net. At the moment, his hands still haven't been tested. He's technically still not warmed up. Take your pot shots, get it on target, test this goalkeeper.
100%. I just think maybe still a bit shell-shocked as well from conceding, possibly. Paraguay do have the ball on the right-hand side. We've Velasquez. Back goes to Gustavo Gomez, plays it long. Got it down below as far as Anthony Robinson picks it up, skips past his opponent, Weston McKennie. He's been fantastic this evening. 1-2 with Robinson as he just keep it in play. It looked like he did. Everyone comes to a standstill. Reina, his first few touches. Dortmund man, Robinson. Reina plays a few 1-2s, but Paraguay, they've got the bit between the teeth now, driving forward here. Maurizio, the goal scorer, up to the right-hand side. Go back and now just trying to, I think, keep some pressure. You can see the difference between the fresh legs. This is no criticism of Weston McKennie, because that first 45 minutes he ran his absolute socks off. You can see that it's Weyer who's pressing high, Pepe who's pressing high. The likes of Adams and McKennie just taking a little second off. Ball in behind, Reams chasing, and Ciso's there as well. He's going to get there. He's the USA skipper, back to the keeper who plays it long. Tim Adams brings it down nicely. Weyer. Adams back into Reina. USA can just do with a bit of the ball, a bit of possession. If honest, but you just see the subs that have come on. Reina's full of running, Pepe's full of running, Weyer's full of running. It's almost if the USA players done, I've done my bit, I need you to come on and now give the legs to the team.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think the Paraguay players are also needing to find some legs. And, well, speaking of legs and energy, I am so impressed with that defending by Tim Ream, 38 years of age, to turn on the afterburners on the fresh-legged Alex Arce in order to get there in front of him and play it back to his goalkeeper to ensure there wasn't no one-on-one opportunity. Fantastic defending from the veteran.
I thought he was going to get outpaced all day long, but proves me a wrong. Ball forward into a dangerous area. Adams wins the ball. So it'll be a foul. I say there, he hasn't done too much, unfortunately, as these substitutions coming on. Adams knows what he's doing, wins the ball, gets in front of him, takes maybe a little bit of a knock. He's going for the ball. It is a Paraguayan man, maybe Alderete is involved as well. Takes a bit of a knock to his knee, as we said. It's more on Alderete, apologies, than the substitute. And it's one of them where it's not a knock, but it's how his knee kind of quickly bends back. That could be something that's a little bit sore for a while.
Yeah, it could have been an innocuous collision. That could have been an incredibly serious injury. But he's fortunate that he's still okay. I mean, there's no sort of dead leg. He is going to be okay to continue. Tyler Adams. It could have been a lot worse.
Looking at the substitutes, of course, the mid four have the USA, so we've still got one left. All five have been made by Paraguay. Pochettino, of course, there's going to be pressure on him anyway. It's a host nation. The USA have a lot of pride coming into this tournament, but performing possibly since he was announced as boss. So a lot riding on this game, and there were two group games, of course, but the first 45 minutes almost was job done. The second half they haven't been as impressive. Don't need to be as impressive though when you are 3-0 up. They're on the ball with Richards. Back to the right side to Freeman. Been impressed by him as well. The young fullback brings it forward. I thought he was taken down there. Referee's going to say no. Bale, great tackle to win the ball. Rayner keeps it, and he just clipped at the heels, and he'll win a free kick just inside his own half. And will be a yellow card going the way of Alex Arce, the man who's only been on the field around 20 minutes or so. And you spoke about the cards. Referees not afraid to show them there. There's been a good amount given out in this game, as well as you've already mentioned the Reds in the first game.
Yeah, this could be a lucrative market in terms of a betting point of view over the course of this tournament. And I mean, I think the vast majority of these yellow cards that we've seen in this game alone are given by Danny McKellar, who we've seen in the Champions League on so many occasions. He's a very accomplished, experienced referee that knows how to handle the big occasions. I don't think that anyone can really complain about any of the decisions. An opportunity falls the way of Ricardo Pepi. He was looking for that sort of chance. He's appealing for a deflection, none awarded. It's going straight out of play, and that will be a goal kick.
It's a lovely ball to find McKenny from rim. He puts it not on a plate. I think as well, it's great defending, I want to say, from Kubas. He just puts some pressure on him, doesn't he? He's almost one of them where I can imagine if you're Pepe, in your peripheral vision, you can see this player flying in behind you, can't you? Means you have to maybe pull the trigger on your strike a little bit earlier than you would have wanted. But again, a player like him, again, especially after Balogun's got the brace that he has, he'll be probably looking at back that even more than if Balogun had got a goal. He's got a goal as a striker. To have two impressive goals, Pepe will look at it and go, was that my chance to get on the score sheet?
I think that will be his chance, and might be his only chance to get on the score sheet there, Ricardo Pepi. I'm not sure if he snatched at it off the just recovering defence from Paraguay was enough to put him off. But maybe should be at the very least hitting the target then. There's every chance the English football fans will be becoming more familiar with Ricardo Pepi, because it seems like every transfer window over the past year and a half now, he seems to be on the cusp of a move to Fulham that always falls through at the last. But maybe with a bit more time in the summer, that move actually might come to fruition.
Joining his teammate, of course, Anthony Robinson. Ball over top looking for Pepe. Goalkeeper comes out to deal with it. It's a poor clearance. Not backing his goal, but it doesn't matter. As Berhalter, poor strike. Think of anything, he tried to dink it, and he almost, not sliced it wide, but he almost just got underneath it, never got any power on it. I think the problem as well there is he's probably thinking, the keeper's out of his goal, I think he'll got back in a good position. I think if you're honest, you've got to just continue that attack and drive forward. Yeah,
he rushed that effort. I think that would have been a good decision to try and lob him if he hits it first time, because he takes the touch, that angle and that opportunity is gone, but he still decides to follow through. Poor in the end.
Forward now, USA, another foul. 7 minutes of stoppage time. We've played the 90 minutes. Of course, we've got the Paraguayan goal. We've had the hydration break. We've had a few stoppages as well for a lot of substitutions. Just again, Rayner, just to me, it's that clever piece of play. Just put your foot in the way. It's one of those, I can imagine it's a bit of a stinger taking the studs to the right ankle. It's not really a foul. I'm watching the replay here, I do believe, of the Paraguayan goal, seeing if it was an offside or not. Well, onside, I think that's just showing some highlights on the technology that FIFA probably have for the tournament. But is that Paraguay as well just being a bit frustrated, trying to get to the ball there? Good free kick for the USA here.
Yeah, it is a really good free kick hit for the Americans. Needs a good delivery. The likes of Chris Richards and Tim Ream will be the maybe brain for Anthony Robinson, and get their 3-goal lead back. That'll be a nice way to end this contest.
Plays Robinson over it, as Will said. Dinks it into a dangerous area. Well headed away by Gustavo Gomez. Now is there a counter-attack on? Tim Ream, experience, gets there first. Plays it to Robinson, 1-2. Back to Robinson in the area. Ball across the face of goal is blocked away. There's a melee in the box. It's not cleared by Paraguay. Now it is. Ciso tries to come away with it. Weah will pick the ball up and will drive forward, back out to Robinson. Just couldn't find that ball into the box. But he's been great down that left-hand side. Fulham left back to Weah, 1-2. Robinson easily makes that run, ball into the box. It's floated up for Pepe. Paraguay headed away, but only as far as the edge of the area. Now they might be able to come away with the ball finally. As we are into stoppage time, as I say. 7 minutes of stoppage time with 2 minutes played with 5 left to go. Paraguay still make it interesting. Alonso on the left-hand side plays it down the line for Ciso. It past Freeman. Can players come forward and support him? Is he brought down there? Referee says no. Ciso may be looking for that one. Great play there. It's going to be a yellow card as well. And that's just, you can see as well, it's Alonso who's picked up the yellow card. I want to say it was McKennie who won the foul. You can see what it meant to him because you knew that I've won the ball, I've got past my man, and that might just be the finishing mark here.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was their chance to try and get that second goal, Paraguay. And the moment it squirmed away from them, I think that their legs and their belief has now well and truly gone. And I don't think America are going to press too much to try and get this fourth. I think it might just be a case of both teams just seeing this out to the end now.
Back a replay. Ooh. Looking at a possible handball. Looks to be Romero, the man of many names. Yes. It's one of them. I think it might be looked at. I think it would be harsh if it was given. As I said, Alonso has picked up a booking, so a lot in the way for Paraguay. Of course, we've had Tim Ream that was given a yellow card, then that was rescinded. Another player for USA on a yellow card is Tyler Adams, the like of Gustavo Gomez. It's Arce, Caceres in the first half, Alonso, Almiron. They're really wrapped up for Paraguay, you have to say. And now off the field is Cuba. So now out of substitutions, Paraguay, so they can't make one. It looks like he has picked up a knock. But now we're halfway through stoppage time. USA, job done. The first 45 minutes were incredible. It's hard to keep up to that level, but as you said, is you want to see it for the 90 minutes, but 3-0 up at half-time, your performance levels are always going to drop.
Yeah, job's done at that point. You don't need to continue with that tempo. It's a marathon, not a sprint, this tournament. You can't afford to exert all your energy in one game. It looks like there's another free kick for the Americans. Berhalter caught by Kaku. And well, I think if USA can be tactical with when they go for this high press tactic, they could be in for a really exciting tournament.
So far, we spoke about it. I've been really impressed by the USA this evening. Coming into it, it's a World Cup, isn't it? Who knows how it's going to go for a lot of teams. Of course, Paraguay, they've got this bit of defending to do here. Another free kick. I think Romero again trying to pick up his opposite number as quick as he could, so no yellow cards went his way. 2.5 minutes left of stoppage time. USA 3, Paraguay 1. Balogun brace in the first half, and USA went 3-0 up at half time. There was a goal in the second half from substitute Maurizio, but it has been very much by the numbers for USA in the 90th. As Will said, job done. It's been a fantastic performance. Now it's about building on for the rest of the tournament. Of course, Paraguay, they will face Turkey on our time, Saturday morning, Friday evening in America, and then finish off against Australia again Friday morning, Thursday evening on the 25th. Whereas USA, they're looking forward to playing Australia on Friday evening the 19th, and then Turkey to finish it off. And as you pointed out, it's well in the middle there by McKennie. Into Weah, out to the right-hand side, Freeman, of course, inverting a little bit as a full-back. As you rightfully pointed out, third place goes through, of course, the World Cup. A win, and you're basically through, aren't you? So USA, on one hand, will be thinking, can we get that win? They have the ball over the top to McKennie, still chasing, pumps one back into the box, headed away by Alderete. Might have gone for a corner, definitely a throw-in. USA now, they just want to roll into Australia. If you win that, you're definitely through.
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to worry about third places. I mean, with this victory for the USA, not only is it going to be massive for them, but if it is a case that for some reason they do lose the next 2 games, the fact they've won by a 2-goal buffer is going to do wonders for their goal difference and goals scored, should it come to that sort of differential for the 3rd place.
Weah goes for a shot well outside the area, blocked well away. Into the last minute of stoppage time. The impressive first 45 minutes. Job done here, of course, for USA. As well, we've got so many games coming up. As I said earlier, all the games will be covered on this service later today, if you will. Qatar and Switzerland at 8 p.m. and one that I'll be looking forward to, I'm sure all of us are, Brazil and Morocco at 11 p.m. And then in the early hours of tomorrow, Haiti and Scotland, and 5 o'clock kick-off in the morning, the UK for Australia and Turkey. That'll be an interesting game, of course. Weah on the right-hand side, back to Freeman and all the way back to the goalkeeper. Los Angeles Stadium will erupt in applause in just a few seconds when the referee blows for the whistle. And impressive performances. You've already spoke about, well, so many celebrities. I'm sure they might keep their eyes on the pitch for a few moments so they can give a round of applause to the USA players. We played the 7 minutes of stoppage time. One final attack here for the USA. Weah to Pepe, might go for a strike, plays it to the right for Freeman instead. Weah, edge of the area, strike might come in now, it does! Oh. What a strike by Halter, the outside of his right boot, that one most likely with the last kick of the game. What a goal from the midfielder, he just pokes it into the bottom corner. What a finish from the midfielder. That is how you finish a game. Maurizio Pochettino going over to celebrate. It was as if he just wandered into the area and thought, you know what, nothing's on for me here. I'm just going to take the strike. Oh, what a strike that is. Gio Reyna outside of the right boot. What technique that was, and that's how you make a statement.
Yeah, just guides it past Alderete. And the run by Ricardo Pepi, dragging Gustavo Gomez across as well. It completely unsights the goalkeeper in Hill. He reacts late, but he puts it perfectly into the corner. Wonderful finish. A 4-1 victory on opening night. Mauricio Pochettino and the United States could not have asked for anything better. What a stunning performance.
Fantastic finish from Reyna, of course. As you've already said, former Forest man, now plays it straight at Borussia Mönchengladbach. So much of him at Dortmund, but when you see a finish like that, you know exactly why. It's his 10th goal for his country, and that is full time. We've already said, what a statement-making performance from the USA. The first 4 or 5 minutes were absolutely electric. An own goal from Bobby Deere made it 1-0. Balogun's brace later on made it 3-0 at half-time. Paraguay nearly gave us a little bit of hope for a dramatic ending with Maurizio goal to make it 3-1. But the last kick of the game, Gio Reyna with a superb finish means it is USA who pick up all 3 points. It's finished USA 4, Paraguay 1.
Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary. Well, it's half-time in the big match then, so a chance for us to take a breather, but we will be back in plenty of time to bring you all the action throughout the entire second half, so do join us shortly for independent, studio-based commentary.